build a dog out of sticks and twine. I can call you master, you can call me mine. Wrap me in plastic and make me shine. We can make a dollhouse, follow your design. You can call me mine. Let's build a dog out of sticks and twine. I can call you master, you can call me mine. Wrap me in plastic and make me shine. We can make a dollhouse, follow your design. You can call me mine.
Hello everybody and welcome to the AOC Masters Valorant Tournament. We are here for day 2 and Group B. My name is Mitch and with me is 𝗠biz, and we're going to be rocking through a number of games. Not quite as many as we'd expected at the start of the day due to one of the teams biggity bailing out of here, but at the same time the teams that remain are still damn solid, Tom. I'm excited to get some good quality Valorant underway.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but in all honesty, the team that we've lost is probably the one I'm least worried about losing. I know that sounds a little bit harsh, but like realistically, this is a group where we're looking at AHQ and Bren as like clear favorites, I would say, to get out of the group. Obviously, we have seen Bren before under the 5 banner with a couple of new additions, and obviously, although I'm not going to lie and say that I've seen them play like massively over the last couple of months since we last covered them. If they've been picked up by Bren, they're obviously a team to watch. So I think we've got the good teams left. Obviously, Legend's going to have a bit of an uphill battle here, as they basically have to beat at least one of the teams. And even then, like it still comes into question of whether or not if they all beat each other, if it comes down to a tiebreaker. So it makes things a little bit more confusing. But ultimately, yeah, we've still got a pretty decent group. AHQ, I think, are the favorites, are the champions of the last tournament we casted at least. And other than, I think, maybe a tackle round, probably the favorites to take the whole thing. So, yeah, it'll be good to see them play. Obviously, maybe see a few changes to what has happened previously and hopefully get some pretty good games.
Well, exactly. Hopefully we'll have some solid games going down. Of course, for those of you that don't know, when it comes down to the veto process, we actually just have a randomized map. These are best of ones, of course, in the group stage. So it's not like you get these massive vetoes. You don't get to take out the map that you don't like or anything like that. You really need to have a well-rounded approach to Valorant in general, and we've seen some interesting plays, I suppose, map to map by different teams, where like they will, for example, you can see they don't like Haven, but then they go on to another map and they're able to perform well. So you can get punished, and in a group that now only has 3 teams, this is where you need to win all your games if you want to make it through. You have to go 2-0 to guarantee that spot at least.
Yeah, for sure. I think that realistically AHQ should be looking to do that, but yeah, it's not the easiest group in the world. In fact, I would say it's one of the tougher ones in terms of who comes out top. Other groups, I think, have like a clear favorite, at least in my eyes. Maybe Myth and SMG could have a bit of a battle between the two of them, but like Group D, I think a tackle round are the clear favorites. But I guess we've already been upset with the group has been upset at Group A, where we saw only one word actually going straight out because of the choice of Haven, I believe, coming up multiple times. We then saw them finish the day on Split and absolutely battered their opponent. So, yeah, it's a shame. The best of one stage is definitely brutal, and I said it yesterday that I would kind of like to see it where both teams get a ban and then it randomizes the last map rather than just being completely random, because it being completely random can be quite harsh. Like in any other game, for example, if that was in like CS, you could end up getting a permaban of a team, and that would be awful, like truly awful. Like you just get a map that you don't play at all. I'm just loving the idea of a team that doesn't play Vertigo getting Vertigo and just be like, well, that's me done for today.
Yeah,
but
I can imagine.
yeah, it's one of those situations where it's definitely not the ideal way to find out the maps, but it does make things exciting and make upsets even more likely, which in best of ones, they're already fairly likely anyway.
Exactly right. Look, there's 4 maps, so you can. I think it's not unreasonable to expect that you can play them all. I think we should take a look at the tournament brackets, the tournament information rather, how everything has panned out so far, what we're in right now, and what we're moving towards. So first, the national qualifiers: 2 teams from each region and 4 from Thailand, making it into the regional group phase through open qualifiers. Now, once they made it through there, that's where we're at right now. Group A has already played out Group B with only 3 teams, unfortunately, due to some unfortunate circumstances for them, not being able to field a lineup. Group C and Group D, obviously 4 teams as well. The top 2 from each will go on to play in the regional finals. Of course, that means 8 teams in total will be battling it out to try and claim their fair share of the prize pool that we've got on offer here. And not just prize pool, but also prizes, because there are some nifty little prizes that these teams can pick up, and I think in some cases, depending on where you're placing, it's actually worth more than the money, Tom. So this is like, there's a lot on the line, and so in this stage of the groups, you better be turning up in the BO1s.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that we're quite lucky in the group that we currently have, that we're actually going to be looking at teams where, at least like in some iteration, we've seen every single one of these teams before. So like Legends were also playing last time at the Cyber Games Arena event. So yeah, it's cool. This is one of the groups where we should at least have a little bit of extra information. As said previously, what we're now looking at is Bren used to be Fives, and of course AHQ. I don't think they've really changed too much. In fact, I think they might have changed one player and brought in 𝗠𝘀𝘁𝗍. I can't even say that name. 𝗠𝘀𝘁𝗁, something like that. Difficult to say. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing if that's an upgrade or not. Obviously, AHQ, one of the teams, I think they're currently 11th in the whole of the region. So definitely the favorites. Going forward, we've already mentioned some of the teams we're looking forward to seeing. Team SMG, Myth as well, to see how some of the other teams in their group face. And honestly, Group G, other than Attack all around, we really don't know too much at all. Obviously, we got Team 600, who managed to qualify through, but they've always seemed to be second best to Team SMG in the other group, and we know that Attack all round, I think they're currently like 6th or something in the region. That's based off the spike, of course. So yeah, I think there's going to be some opportunities for teams to get out of that group at least. Like, who comes in second might be the argument, but I kind of thought that with didn't we, Mitch? And then only one word went out in third. So I guess maybe we should be in for some surprises. And unfortunately, of course, well, interestingly, it's the team that we struggled to say their name has been disqualified. Or not disqualified. They didn't pose a team, unfortunately. I think one of their players was ill, and they were unable to get a stand-in.
Yeah, so on the upside, we don't have to say their name and embarrass ourselves any further, which is good. Taking a look at the matches coming up today, you can see, obviously, that a lot of these, you can see 𝐵.win. That is that, obviously, Nong Van will not be able to play. So, the other games that are remaining: Legends versus Bren, AHQ versus Bren, and AHQ versus Legends. It is going to be a 3-team round-robin format for this group. And so, it is going to be a little bit different to what we've seen in the past. Tiebreakers are definitely possible, and basically, in order to avoid them, we need a team to go 2-0. Yeah. That is... Look, it's AHQ that should be going 2-0. They are the team that are the giants of the region. They won the previous tournament, and okay, small lineup changes, and we'll get to the lineups a little bit later on when we see AHQ, but they're still the favorites coming into this group, and so I would expect them to be the ones closing it out. Now, they also have a little bit of an advantage. A little bit, because they get to watch this first game, sit back, and maybe deduce something about the tendencies of Legends and Bren, and then face both of them. It's a nice advantage to have, especially with the little break between the games to really analyze it and break it down. I hope they spend that time wisely.
Yeah, for sure. I will say that this is sort of the group that I look at and go, like, maybe this is Bren actually having the time to put in some work, because I imagine they will have known who they've been playing against for a little bit of time. AHQ, obviously, a team that's played an awful lot of matches, and Legends on the other side of things, also one that qualified for a fair few different tournaments. So realistically, there is a good opportunity here that we could see an upset or two because of teams actually putting in the work and taking the time to get themselves well prepared. So yeah, I'm excited for these matches. I think this is going to be one of the toughest groups, and I think especially with one of our teams getting removed, it's almost left it a little bit more up in the air, because it's even more so. If you get 2 wins, obviously you're through. If you get 1 win, you may even still, that might be enough, which in any of the other groups we wouldn't have really been talking about. So yeah, it's going to make things a lot more cutthroat, a lot more, well, sort of straight elimination. You lose the 2 matches, you have no chance, whereas in some of the other groups it was still possible to get through. And for Legends, hey, if they manage to beat Bren here in our first matchup, that could be enough, because like realistically, I expect AHQ to win both matches. So if Legends can win this one, that might be enough for them to get through in second place.
Well, there you go, right? So it is definitely going to be provided AHQ do manage to come through with that win. This will be the all-important game to decide which of these 2 teams takes second place. But of course, we've seen it before, and we've seen it from AHQ before in group stages. It doesn't always go according to plan. Even though they won the previous tournament, they didn't top the group. So this is where, you know, one of these teams could end up beating AHQ and set themselves up to top the group. Either way, we're going to be getting on to bind between these 2 teams, with Legends beginning on the defensive side and Bren on the attack. Now, I'm excited because we get to see agent selection. We get to see the thought process behind the how they're selecting, if they switch around, and I'm really, really a big fan of this feature. I did a show match there last night, in which, Tom, you'll know how excited I was. They played Viper on 2 out of 3 maps. Both teams had a Viper. It was fun.
Not bad.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. And then they didn't play her on Icebox, and I was like, what the hell's going on? Are we serious here? But look, enough talk, enough chat, enough messing around. It's time to get into the game, and more specifically into the agent selection process. And you can see there's already been a couple locked in here, and we're looking at potentially a Brimstone coming out from Legends, which, although the majority of picks tend to be towards an Omen, on a map like Bind, you will see Brimstone a lot more frequently.
Yeah, not really seeing anything too crazy out of the picks that we've got. Obviously, Jet still very common for most teams. We are seeing a lot of teams like starting to adapt away from Jet now, and on certain maps in particular. Another one is Brimstone, which normally you are going to be seeing an Omen, especially with positions like Hookah, where you can pretty much just paranoia off the whole area and get yourself an awful lot of map control. So I am going to be slightly favoring the attacker comp in this situation, but I do like the fact that we have a breach available on the defensive side. I think Legends picking that up could definitely make things more interesting, and pretty much just negate the fact that they don't have the Omen, because they'll have some extra flashes alone. So unlike yesterday where we had a few sort of more questionable choices, I think both the comps that we have here are fairly good. The one thing I will say is, according to the small amount of stats we have on VLR, Legends have actually never won a game of Bind. It's only out of 2 losses, but that's not great. Whereas we have it's the most played map for Bren. So realistically, like, this is now more in favor of Bren just based off past statistics, but obviously that's always going to be the case with sort of Asian games in general. A lot of the time, a lot of the websites won't have all the stats available to them because their tournaments are much more local. So it's possible there's a lot of data missing from those results.
Yeah, you can never rely on the statistics within smaller regions. And ooh, okay, Edmund, he's swinging on out. He's looking for some kills and getting them. I like the frenzy buy. It's something you'll see every day. In fact, I'd argue it's more frequent. Obviously, you'll see a ghost most frequently, but it's even more common to see a shorty than it is to see a frenzy in the hands of a Jet, specifically because of that beautiful dash ability. Now,
Oh,
They know he's
I
close.
think he's seen the foot. He's seen the foot.
Yeah, they know all about this, but you still got to be quick on that pre-fire. There we go. Quickly finds one, because they'd seen the breach fall back towards the site, so they knew it was open to make that push happen. And Bren, well, it was going well until Ching got taken down by himself.
Shine needs to try and get a multi-frag here, and in fact, they're just going to completely overwhelm him. Shadow was actually waiting quite passive while his teammate was being pressured. I guess maybe waiting for the Cypher to rotate in eventually, but, well, a little bit disjointed in their peaks, and that's all too easy for Jesse Vash. Now, when we sort of first looked at this roster, I was like, I recognize that name. I recognized them from the last tournament. It was just sort of clicking in my head to work out that they were 5. Now, 5 did manage to get to a playoff spot in the last event that we casted, the Cyber Games Arena, but they got eliminated by AHQ, and it was a 2-0. It wasn't a particularly close match. So I think for Bren, just making sure that they get through this match and win it, that'll probably be enough, and then they can have that battle facing off against AHQ. I'll be honest, I'll be very surprised if Legends actually do end up having themselves a victory.
Big words, Tom. Big words from you. I mean, your prediction game wasn't on point yesterday. I was the one.
Damn close.
Well, yeah, close but no cigar. That's what they say. At the end of the day, the second place is the first loser, and I wouldn't know anything about that because I predicted perfectly every single time. So, even down to the scoreline.
What's your prediction for this game?
Oh, it's already started.
I forgot we're doing that the whole day.
No, I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be unfair. The game's already started. That's not how I do things.
I don't mind. I don't mind. Honestly.
I do.
Give us an exact score prediction.
Listen, I'm not here to satisfy your prediction needs. I'm here. I have some integrity. So
you're a coward.
I'm. Whoa. Listen, I have integrity, Tom. God damn it! I'm not making score predictions when the game started.
Okay.
I'll do it before the game.
Fine, coward.
No problem.
That's fine,
no problem.
Coward. It's okay.
But yeah, look, I like the fact that we've got a Brimstone in play when it comes to this map. But what I genuinely want to see more, and I think Angel has really screwed the scene by by allowing me to do this, is I want to see Viper, man. Because I've been playing Viper in all my matchmaking games, exactly how Angel did, and it's been a lot of fun. We haven't won the games, but that was not because of the Viper.
Results-wise, it's not been great.
But it's felt good, and that's all that it's about. Now, I think we were also talking with Doombros yesterday. I had a little interview with him, and he said that the most underrated agent, and I played a little, or overrated, excuse me. I played a little mind game. I was like, let me guess what you're going to say. And it's Jett. And I think you could tell his opinion, at least, is that Jett's the most overrated by looking at the FPX comp, because they don't play Jett. They tried her in 4 games, I think, maybe 3, and then went, nah. And I agree with him in a way that he said he made the perfect point, which was that Jett is simultaneously the most powerful and the most overrated, because she doesn't allow you to play around your team too well. She doesn't set your team up. She plays for herself a lot of the time. Yeah. There's some things, like look at Mixwell, how he uses Jett. He will play for himself, but also he'll use the dash to open space for his team. He'll dash push into a site with the cloud burst. He also made a comment which was quite funny to me, where he said, like, the smokes for Jett, you can use them on their own as actual smokes for an execute. And I was just like, oh, you think Liquid are watching? Nay, you're trying to send them some more ideas. But it wasn't quite in the traditional like Brimstone Omen way. It's more like the fact that you can chuck out a cloud burst, dash into it, and you're all of a sudden on the site, block off some angles, and burst in. But yeah, I think we see a lot of these teams going for Jett, and I think that's down to the fact that you're looking at a very young scene, the scene that's mixing players around a lot. I think it's very similar within Counter-Strike as well, and so they'll take the opportunities to allow individuals to shine, because they haven't necessarily got that massive tactical depth to them in terms of how they play off each other as a team.
I think it's also dependent on actual teams, though. I think that, like, for example, you mentioned FPX, that they don't use Jett. They think it's overrated, but I don't think it fits any of their players.
Yeah.
Like, they don't have an aggressive operator player.
Mm-hmm.
Their operator player is fairly passive. Their aggressive player is Zipan most of the time, or xiao, who both don't normally use the operator. So it's sort of like, I get what he means in the sense that for their comp, it is very much overrated. But for example, when we saw Link switch over to Jett in some of the matches that they played like a few months ago, it was revolutionary for their team because of how he played. Like, well, we saw him on a Sage previously, and he played almost passive and then tried to switch to the AWP, and it didn't work. Then he picked up a Jett, and he was able to be more dynamic with the movement that he had. So I agree in the sense of, like, in terms of, like, purely tactical bases, not so much. But that's not necessarily what you get when you get certain teams. I think, for example, players like VAC, if you look at him, I want to see him on a Jett all the time because of what he can do, not only with the operator, but also what he can do with the Blade Storm. Like, I think that he can single-handedly win rounds with that, which there's not too many ultimates when you're on an eco or when you're on a weaker buy that actually work as well as a Blade Storm. Like, sure, you can get into sight, sure, you can get plants, but that doesn't necessarily mean you win the round, whereas a Blade Storm, maybe a Showstopper can go in that bracket as well, can individually win you around if your players are good enough. So I agree with him in the sense of just tactics, but I think that Valorant as a game is much deeper than that, and I think certain teams are making Jett very, very viable. I do, however, think the necessity for a Jett in a lot of teams is actually a hindrance, though. I think people are looking too much of, we need to have a Jett, when actually in a lot of cases you don't. It just depends on the players you have.
That's exactly it, right? It's overrated, but it's also powerful, the most powerful at the same time. Like, it really is down to the team. Look, talking about teams, we have a little bit of a tech issue with one of the teams, so we're going to throw things over to a quick break, and we shall be back in just a little bit with the game hopefully going live.
Let's build a dog out of sticks and twine. I can call you master, you can call me mine. Wrap me in plastic and make me shine. We can make a dollhouse, follow your design. You can call me mine. Let's build a dog out of sticks and twine. I can call you master, you can call me mine. Wrap me in plastic and make me shine. We can make a dollhouse, follow your design. You can call me mine. Let's build a dog out of sticks and twine. I can call you master, you can call me mine. Wrap me in plastic and make me shine. We can make a dollhouse, follow your design. You can call me mine.
Well, the tech issues have subsided and we're ready to get into the game in just a little bitty bit. We've been waiting quite a while. Obviously, that pistol round went down, but then some of the players hit a little bit of a hiccup. And I mean, look, we're all about suspense here. We like to take a 10-minute break between
We're going to have a break
round.
between each round.
Just to really build up suspense. Now, look, we won't do it on eco rounds, okay? We'll roll those ones on. But
Maybe.
Maybe. We might take a pause in the middle
Depends
of the
how
round.
I'm feeling.
That'd be interesting, actually, Tom. You know, I think this is the future of esports. And I'm giving Twitch some very bad ideas here, but that instead of a stream continuing when ads play, they actually just pause them. And so what you'll do is it'll be like the grand finals of a major event, millions of dollars on the line, 1v2 clutch, player peeks out, advertisement. And it's like, watch 30 seconds of ads to find out what happened in this play.
They're just stuck there like...
Yeah, in the like mini thing, he's just like ready, aiming at the person, and it's like, buy the new I don't know.
No, I meant the players had to stop.
Oh, the players. No, that would continue on. So that would even sell more esports tickets, because if you want to experience it uninterrupted, you go to the event. I'm a genius. I am a genius. This is the way to go.
The only thing is, you're making the assumption that everybody's ads play at the same time, but they don't. So that would mean that for each person we had to stop, and that would make the stream 478 hours long per best of one. So,
well,
that would be a slight.
It's a new system. It's a new system where they do play an ad for everybody at the same time, and then the stream continues, but it pauses on the streaming platform's end so that it can continue once the ads are finished.
To be honest, I don't think people would mind that as much.
That would be
if
better.
It was all at the same time, because rather than just every time you join a stream, the thing is, that's actually me now. Like, I'll open a stream and there'll be like a 10-second ad, and I'll be like, I'm not watching that stream anymore. I'll just close it. I'll be like, I'm out. Peace out.
I've been there. I've been there. That's for sure. But look,
that's why everybody should watch on Facebook.
There you go. Are there ads there, Tom?
Sure, but better ones.
Better ones indeed. So we'll be jumping into the game fairly soon anyways, and I'm excited to see exactly how things are going to be popping off, because when I look at these teams, this is going to be a competitive match. Same as yesterday, I expect this to be a very, very close game. I think that you have to be realistic when you're thinking about how some of these teams are at. They're going to be a little bit more puggy than what we've seen within Europe, certainly. But the reality is that they are still solid as individuals. Certainly, they've got the backing there to still deliver some solid blows. So I don't think a lot of people will underestimate teams that they've never seen before. But I think certainly when we get to AHQ, you'll see that they're a solid team. There's no messing around when you get there.
Yeah,
they've got a player named Milk, and that's because they're really cool.
You can have warm milk.
You could, but not for an extended period of time. You have to store it in a cool manner.
Depends where you live. In Ireland, sure, because the sun doesn't exist. But say you lived in, like, I don't know, Dubai, I think your milk would be pretty warm all of the time.
No, and it's in the fridge, Tom. What, do you think they go, oh, it's hot here, I'll just store it in the sand? Like, what?
Yeah, it's a good plan.
Oh,
Make cheese.
I need some more milk. It's been an hour since I bought some. It's gone off.
My cow's on fire.
I left him out in the sun for 10 minutes.
That's always been one of the things I've never got. Is like, there's all the people who are like, oh, I'd love to move to Dubai. I wouldn't. I've been to Dubai. It's too hot. I don't like it. Even sometimes I live in Kiev. Sometimes that's too hot. Like when it gets to like the higher temperatures, I'm like, nah, too much. I actually like the weather in England, which is probably the first person in the universe to ever say that, because it's just mellow.
Yeah.
The most it ever gets to is 30 degrees. It doesn't get that cold. Like in Ukraine, I've been in like minus 17 degrees with wind. And I was just like, yeah, no, this is what we call a not go outside day. Which is a lot of my days, to be fair, but that's not the point. Nonetheless, we've got our schedule back up, which, well, if you remove game 1, 3, and 5 is accurate as how the schedule's going to go today, although I believe everything has been shifted forward, sort of, because obviously we are a little bit delayed due to connection tech issues that are currently going on. I'm hoping those will be sorted quickly. I'm interested to know how things will actually go, because this is something I more don't know. So I'm going to query Mitch, which is always a risky topic. But what happens if they actually timed out of the game? Does the game just stay paused? Like, does it have to be remade?
Well, you have to remake it, I think, if a player actually disconnects properly.
So then they have to replay the pistol round, but in the same manner, I guess.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Looks like we're back either way.
Tom, one thing before we get into this game, I saw a TV. I've been shopping around, right? £250. Obviously, I'm not British, but I do buy on Amazon UK. So £250, right? I want to tell you what the refresh rate was. 400 hertz. It claims. That's not true.
A TV.
A TV. It says 400 hertz.
Pretty good TV. You should buy it.
for £250. I've never heard of 400 hertz. I don't know that exists.
Well, yeah, I think my monitor was more than that, and it's not 400 hertz. Nonetheless, these pistols, SMGs doing quite well, cleaning up the eco rounds, of course, for Legends. It's just going to be about doing a little bit of damage. They will be able to buy into the next round. That is a very good flash. You may not be blinded, but I can tell you for sure that he definitely was. A Dispenser will be able to dunk the last player out of the round. It's going to be 2-0 for Bren, but yeah, you should definitely buy it. Do a review.
There was another TV I saw which the refresh rate was listed as gigahertz. So, is that 2 hertz? Maybe. I don't know, to be honest.
Gigahertz, wouldn't that be 1,000?
Well, it's just GHz.
Well, yeah, because you're talking about hertz, so a gigahertz would be 1,000. You'd be able to see things before they happen.
Yeah, you're playing Valorant. You're like, he's gonna peak long in 3 seconds.
That's what TenZ has been playing on the whole time.
We figured it out.
We just didn't realize.
Yeah, because I've been thinking, because like, right, these other these consoles and stuff, right, they're pushing towards 120 FPS, and like, what's the point of having 60 hertz and 120 FPS? That seems a bit null and void, doesn't it? You're not going to capitalize. But either way, I say it's actually the same as having a console and a 4K TV, I suppose. Like the old ones.
Or, you know, you could just buy an AOC 240 hertz monitor, which these players will be winning if they finish in the top 4.
There you go.
You could have just tried to get top 4. You would have to move country and change your nationality, but other than that, I'm sure it'd be absolutely fine. Nonetheless, we're into our buy round. It's an execution onto the B site. Bear in mind that the defenders now have proper rifles, but to be fair, that the last round was actually taken fairly safe by the attacking side of Bren, so they have a few rifles of their own. Dubstep looking to try and rock the world of his opponents, but right now, well, it's just an absolute slaughter as we witness absolutely nothing getting done. The defense was null and void. The retake was even worse, and you may not have predicted this game, but you said it was going to be a close one. I'm starting to question that.
Tom, you're a man for really rolling the dice, aren't you? It's 3-0, for God's sake. But
yeah, but that was a battering, and they had a worse buy.
Yeah, I can definitely see.
If you go into a bonus round and win it with 4 players alive, I'm already worried for the team on the defense.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. I think you're running into the B site versus Cypher. You should be having a little bit of a tougher time. But evidently, it's not the case. Coming into this round, you can see Bren obviously going to be, light years ahead of their opponents. Legends are going to be in a tough spot, and I think the reality is aggressive plays is the way to go about this one. Didn't work out for them there on long. I think that was one of their better opportunities, right? You get a player coming around the corner up close. You're guaranteed that one-shot kill. Dubstep's just racked him through the wall. That's unlucky for him. At least 1 kill is found in the aggression down through a mid. That's a rifle retrieved as well, and so some potential to do damage later on. Now, saving this rifle isn't really going to be worth it. You'll have money to buy up in the next round. I think, considering the fact that your teammates have actually got weapons like sheriffs, it's worth going for. Additionally, Edmund is 1 kill away from getting his ultimate. If he finds this frag now, he drops that rifle, pops his ult. Come on, Edmund, do it. Edmund, give the rifle to your teammate. Give the rifle to your teammate. Okay, we're not communicating. Never mind. Just gonna throw this one away.
Orkham, this is aggressive, but clearly feeling confident. Takes the fight. Now, is it Shinity or Shenenity? Shenenity?
Shenenity. Either way, a silly approach to the round there, I have to say. They wanted hookah control, and they sent a player there with a classic. He could have just walked around to long, picked up the Vandal that Jet would have dropped for him, and then Jet could pop the ultimate. And now, instead, Edmund's going to have that ult for the next round, which He has an operator. He's not going to be popping it, or if he does, it's absolutely ludicrous. So now you're saving the ult for 2 rounds. Well, that's potentially, you know, another 3 or 4 ult charges. You'd be halfway there by the time that you go again. So that round was really just... That's disgusting. That round was thrown away. You know, again, one of these situations where a better team, better comms, and better thought put into the round would actually end up with a victory. But, hey, we're starting it out here nice and nasty. Redmond on the up. Oh, I thought he had that.
Yeah, he probably should have done, but he'll get there in the end. A decent amount of damage coming in from the Hunter's Fury, but unfortunately only 1 kill. I think he actually tags 3 different players low. We'll see whether or not anything else can come up for Jessie. Of course, already 4 rounds on the attacking side is not bad. We saw some very defensive bind yesterday, but I think that was more just some poorer plays coming in. But hey, Edmund, he's here to show his stuff. 3 kills with the operator. Very good round from him individually. Now we wait to see if they can actually build off this, because, well, there's going to be another thing that you're not going to be too happy with, but I just noticed that in this round, Dubstep hit 9k, and his teammates are currently on $500, so, or 500 credits. So, realistically, they didn't do a fantastic job of spreading around the money in a previous couple of rounds, but it seems like they're going to do a better one here. Dubstep also going to look to just buy up a Frenzy, and then use the Blade Storm going into this round, so basically making sure that their economy is built up. And I like this. Edmund now being aggressive on different fronts. We saw an aggressive peek through Hookah in the last round. Now it's going to be long, but instead, straight into the lamp goes Dubstep. And that's the first kill already. Make that a second. The A site is completely under their control. And we're only about 20 seconds into the round.
Not a bad start. Not a bad start at all. I mean, just slingshotting back on into this game. Now, we're looking towards the retake for Legends, and do they want to go for this? It certainly looks like it. But with the time left with the ult pop for Jett as well, I don't want to get involved in this. Whoa! Dubstep's missed, but the trade was there. His teammate coming in from above, taking the frag, and now Legends going for a save with just 1 player. It is that operator left. Nice shot. Predicting Dubstep's position, but he gets short-sighted, or near-sighted, I should say. Hopping around, missing the shot. Classic out for another kill, but it's just not enough. 5-1 as Bren claim another round and steal all the weapons away from their opponents.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Like, I think all we've really seen so far is a couple of good shots come out from Edmund. The rest of the team, well, this is a bad joke, but they look null. Like, it has been such simplistic plays that have actually been able to win the rounds for Bren. Like, that round was just a rush. They just ran in towards lamps. Like, there was nothing to delay them, nothing to stop them. That's so easy for a team to do, and to get both entries, as said, within, I think it was like 15 to 20 seconds. That's unacceptable. And now they're going to switch things up. And this seems to be... This reminds me of old Kenny S. Titan, where it's just like, hey, Kenny. And I was like, oh, what's up? It's like, are you going to drop 40 kills this game? It's like, well, I was aiming for 30. And they go, oh, well, we're not going to win then.
Well, let's hope it's not quite that bad.
Well, he did have to carry Maniac, you know. That's a tough job.
That's true. You know, I've managed that in a show match or two, but it is a difficult task. That is for sure.
I'm sure he's watching the Facebook stream. No worries.
He's coming after me. Yeah, like 5-1. Bren, man disadvantage, and all the ultimates against them. They have got 2 players towards the A site. At least something working for them. The operator hanging off an angle up in heaven, looking down towards the bathroom, where those players are about to come walking out.
30 seconds
they need to be
left.
quick. Dubstep probably wants to go for the dash, but actually Edmund gets distracted just in time as they slow peek. That would have been a free kill, so he doesn't get anything. Null falls, and this round should be disappearing. The Shinity tries to pull it back. There's the old pop. There we go. 1 kill. Looking for a little bit more. It's now doable. And indeed, it's done.
Okay, so Edmund's really good. That's what I've learned so far today. Like, Edmund is killing it. Like, even just the slick headshot that came out there. with the knives. That's another 3K. So they're pretty much the rounds that they've won have been off the back of him getting a 3K each time. And normally it's in quite an aggressive stance as well, like starting off the rounds for his team. They have 2 players there yet to get a single kill, which is a pretty big worry, especially with 𝗠𝘂𝗖 more so, because normally 𝗠𝘂𝗖 is your initiator. It's the person trying to find you information and then get some openers for your squad. Sure, a lot of the time that thunder is stolen by Jet, but if you're going in 0 and 5, that is not what you're looking for. Cypher, a little bit more forgivable, but at the same time, it's not like we haven't just seen these faster pushes into either of the site coming out from Bren, so that's really where you need your Cypher as some stopping power. So I can forgive a Cypher a little bit more for not having that fragging capability, but at the same time, if he keeps it up, they're probably stuffed.
I do want to see what the direction is in this round. We did see a little bit of early presence towards B, but Legends, they've not rotated. They're sticking in on the A side. A couple of times you'll see some teams aggressively take bathroom in the early round over on the attacking side just to steal that ult orb away, and it feels like we're not seeing a lot of focus in towards that aspect of the game. Edmund, well, he's been good on the aggressive stances before, but not this time. Oh, you're dead. Oh, somehow surviving. Null gets away with a kill as well, and I think overall, you gotta be pretty happy if you're Null in that position, but unfortunately not if you're Legends, because they're in a 2v4 retake, and again, I think this is another instance where you just save.
So kill Jet, win the round is what I've learned so far. It's not amazing, because the thing is, I don't even think that Bren have really had to do anything too impressive. It's just been off individual openers. After plant positions have been sturdy. They're not over-facing, which is something that we saw quite a lot yesterday. Like, they're just playing the crossfires, making sure they win the rounds, which, although it's not something I'm necessarily going to harp on about, it's good to see, because some of the teams we saw yesterday definitely didn't have this in their locker. I think it's actually one of the reasons we saw only one word go out of the tournament, is that they were just not good in their after plants, which, well, a lot of that just comes down to practice. But 6-2, 6 rounds on the attacking side is already pretty damn good on Bind, especially if yesterday has anything to go on. Like, some of the teams definitely had weaker attacking sides, and well, you said, like, oh, it's only been 3 rounds. Well, it's now been 8, and I'm still in exactly the same spot as before. I think this is probably going to be a dominant victory, and it's a shame, because Edmund, when he's been put in the right position, has actually done a very good job, especially with the operator. Interestingly, they're not actually going to go out of their way to get it for him in this round. So even though they have a few players with some extra cash, it wasn't really enough to get them everything they need. So they've just decided he's not going to have it for this round, have to be aggressive with the rifle instead.
Doesn't look like they'll be taking Jet down in the early stages of this round, Tom. They're focusing in towards the B site. If that's the case, maybe they also win this round, if they can completely avoid the Jet.
It's quite interesting to me. I don't know what you think about this, but having both Sova and Cypher on the B side, that's an awful lot of information play. I'll give a pause. You can have a think about your answer as they do go pushing into the site. It's going to be Dubstep to find an opener onto 𝗠𝘂𝗖, although it is his first kill and a trade, and 𝗠𝘂𝗖 has been able to hold on to the crossfire. Full rotation now coming in, and still more utility to be able to delay this push from coming. Unless they go peeking into Dubstep, I don't really see how he gets a kill in this situation, but it seems like he will. The swing from 𝗠𝘂𝗖 finds him a frag. Still a 3v3, but there's only 2 players actually on this side of the map. They're going to have to get going. 20 seconds left on the clock to try and make their move. And they're just they're allowing Dubstep an awful lot of space. The problem with this is, however, they need to clear out the remaining players. They need to get the spike down, and actually, there's going to be an orbital strike. That should be the round over. I don't see any way to win this, and eventually, 𝗠𝘂𝗖 and Edmund will close.
Well, he just tried to Goomba stomp him. He dropped on top of the Breach's head. I'll say that the hold towards the B side is interesting. I think I would imagine that we're actually only looking at that because of personal preference of the players. They happen to play those agents, and they happen to feel more comfortable towards the B site. If it was me, if we were in an ideal world where every player can play every position perfectly and comfortably, I would put the Breach over instead of the Sova. Obviously, you're always going to want your Cypher, or the majority of Cyphers, towards the B site. But you don't have an initiator. If they do start to push in, you have to play off the utility that you've got. You have the ability to section off fights. Whereas over on the A site, you've got a Jet to initiate those fights, and you've got a Brimstone who can make it more difficult with the smokes. Now, those smokes can't go down in this round, but oh my god. Edmund just keeps on going. He's already got 3. This man is ridiculously good, but he can't get the shot up close. And so we resort to the Hunter's Fury, which doesn't get a kill, but it forces the player forward, giving the frag over to his teammate. The TP going to be fully committed to, and the plant goes down towards the B side. The TP ×1 just to split up these angles a little bit. There is a cam still in play for 𝗠𝘀𝘁𝗍 as he goes to push out to the site. And so the Omen's objective here is just to isolate a fight, to take a 1 versus 1 if he's offered it.
Oh, the timing couldn't be worse for Ching. There's going to be another round. And actually, he's starting to string a few together now, Legends. Of course, again, where we're talking about some individual brilliance that gets them off to a good start. And it still seems like some potential in a lot of these rounds, I guess you could say, especially if the timing doesn't go the other way. They are sending a player on cross to the other side of the map to go and try and retrieve the extra operator as well, so hopefully that will be in play in the next round. Give Edmund something to utilize, and he's 15 and 7 at the moment, top fragger by quite a margin.
So, he doubted the close game time. He didn't. Oh no, Edmund! Oh no, he dashed too late as well. He's left on 10 HP. At least he's got the operator, I suppose, but his dash wasted as well. That is fantastic return on investment for a Boombot. And Dubstep, well, he's gotten a little bit more done, although he goes down in the end. That 1-for-1 trade on the attacking side always going to be worthwhile, and especially when you've already dealt so much damage to the Jet. The rest of the team looking to move towards the A site, knowing that the rotate has come into play on the B site. Having spotted out Jet there really long, of course. Nice paranoia. It catches a teammate, but they trade out only for 1. Null just swings on in to close this round out, and he's managed to sneak his way into the corner of Lamps, putting 6-5 on the scoreboard and leaving Legends right on the heels of Bren.
Yeah, we've started to see a couple of players step up as well, which is good. Nice round from Null, especially the reposition towards the end, but yeah, 6-5. I do worry a little bit for their attacking side. I'm going to wait until I hold too much judgment. I still think they're going to need Edmund to play pretty well, but the thing is, on the attacking side, operator play is always much more difficult, so we need to see more from him with the rifle. Seems like he's going to be using everything here, though. Blade Storm, got a cheeky little Sheriff in play as well, and now throwing in the operator. You can see the Hunter's Fury used, and actually clears out Noel, playing the same position again, and Dubstep gets so far forward. Edmund not expecting them to be there, and again, it's this change of pace, this faster play towards the A side, which has caught out this roster multiple times now, Mitch.
Time after time. When you push and you plant, and it's time for after plants. Time after time, they've been going to Bren, and they've managed to close out this round, putting 7-5 on the scoreboard. Now,
switching sides.
I'll give you the Bren had a very good start into this game, but they have cooled down an awful lot. And for Legends, I think they've now got a great opportunity considering their composition. You know, they're up against what is a decent one for Bren. It's not like there's any massive flaws to go down with it, but for Legends, this is a very fast, a very blitzy comp, and when you've got Edmund, when you've got Shinity delivering as they are, this is where serious damage can be done. The only caveats I would give is that Edmund, he's been opping. Now he's shown he's capable of aggressive opping, but it will be that little bit more difficult on the attacking side. They have to seize map control first. That's where 𝗠XX comes in to open up space for them, but he's also the player that's delivering the most when it comes to the rifling department, and now he has to take a back foot a little bit and help one of his teammates find that opening engagement. Now, when you look towards the bottom of the scoreboard for Legends, there are some serious problems. I think Cypher has 2 kills in that first half, and they went B quite a lot.
Well, 𝗏𝗏 looking to lead the charge once again, but he has been tagged up. A risky play from 𝗔𝗢𝗖. Unfortunately, he's not going to get anything done. 𝗏𝗏 will at least be able to trade one back. They know that there's a player in this corner, and 𝗠XX eventually will close him out, but there's a few low players. A good opportunity here for 𝗏𝗏, but he's going to have to do everything all on his lonesome. Spotting out the frenzy at range, probably not ideal, and I don't know why you'd peek that. That's such a risk for 𝗠XX. Now an opportunity for 𝗏𝗏 to bring this back and potentially get onto his 4th kill. Gonna tap the defusal, in fact, to try and stick it through to the halfway point, and actually hits the tag with the cam. So much information available to him now. He knows exactly where the last man is, but he can't quite beat out 𝗏𝗏. A really nice try from 𝗏𝗏, but ultimately the pistol goes the way of the Legends.
And that's exactly what they needed, Tom. They needed that pistol round to keep themselves alive in the game. At least keep themselves hot on Brand's heels. Now this should be a free round coming into the second. You're up against the defensive side eco, and this is where things can be dangerous, especially when it comes down to pushing into areas like hookah. That is the one place that I always advise people not to push on a round like this, because you will face shorties. Often 2 of them are in a crossfire. It's actually more of an aggressive stance from them. A TP as well comes through to seize mid control from Bren, and you can see why it could have been a little bit of a disaster had they have focused around hookah control. Now that that has been cleared, they will move back towards the A site, and Legends are being boxed in a little bit. They do need to be careful. That flank on its way from the Omen is really what I'm focused on in this round. If Omen manages to do some damage, take a kill or 2, catches 1 off guard, going for the planter as well. He got damage in, and this is now possible for Brent to recover. Dispenser being offered close range fights, but in the end, he's got a 1 versus 2 to win. Oh, his opponent's going for a reload. He manages to pick up a weapon. This is still doable. It's still workable, and even more so now in the 1v1 nade through to the back of the site. It doesn't land in the right position, though. It doesn't bounce properly, but he still gets it done. Dispenser with a 3k, and what is basically a full eco gets won out by Bren. That's ridiculous, Tom.
Yeah, that's not really a round that's acceptable to lose, and for Legends, they're going to be kicking themselves, because now things become quite awkward for them. Money-wise, they don't really have enough to invest into this round properly, so it looks like they might just put a little bit into the pistols. And on the other side, wow, that's a big boost. That's an extra weapon kept. They can buy into the rifles earlier than they would have done. Interestingly as well, we see Bren almost exclusively going for Vandals, which that's very uncommon when we look at what we have nowadays in Valorant. In fact, people have almost sort of moved away as much as possible, maybe excluding a few individuals who are the headshot machines. Everybody's pretty much gone to the Phantom at this point. I think North America's a big part of that, with how clinical some of the players have been, but realistically, that's a question. This is also a bit of a weird duel to have. All the way around the back, so much information found, and just look at how the attackers have now had to react to this. They were initially setting up for an A play, but, well, you can't really do that anymore.
They're still going to go straight in for that A blitz. Off the back of the smokes, the flashes, and I think for Bren, well, that's helped him out quite a lot. Just a spam through the smoke. 𝗔𝗢𝗖 making the right call to back off. Shock dart through with a single bounce, does damage. Even gets a double kill afterwards. But 𝗠XX, he's not long for this world. He was even out of ammo in the classic. Hell of a shock dart. I like that. You know, so many players will go, oh, I'm versus pistols, let me just swing and get some free kills. But instead, he backs off. Single shock dart, second one, runs away. Like, he's creating space so that at least his teammates can trade him and he doesn't give a free rifle away. And that's exactly what you want to see in those situations.
Now 9-2-6. Cheeky little replay. That is filth. That is absolute filth. But again, we're going to see these slower default rounds coming out from Legends. They do have a proper buy into this round. And if I'm being brutally honest, I think this is where they have to break back. Otherwise, we could start to see this one slip a little bit out of their control. We've seen some pretty poor attacking sides thus far in the tournament. On Bind especially. I think that was the map where we saw a 9-3 and then a 10-1 back in the other direction. I'm hoping that's not going to be a running theme, because that probably means that Legends are screwed at this point and we just haven't realized yet. But nonetheless, they do have players that I feel like could be good at opening up sites. Specifically, Edmund's been doing quite well. 𝗔𝗢𝗖 already, though, a very aggressive angle. In fact, I don't like this angle at all. Like, they're so risky if they were to peek him, but he does have the ability to back off after it's checked by the outro. And it seems like they're going to go back for more, though. Dubstep just goes peeking in. The showstopper's been popped, and they're going to run towards it. That's not the normal play, and Dubstep, while blind, manages to close out the round. Left. It's only going to be one man left. Somehow, 𝗀𝗢𝗖's managed to get into a pretty good position, but the problem is the spike is in such a powerful spot.
It should be next to impossible, really.
10 seconds left.
I think definitely at this point, unless they all run out and take that fight real quick. Saving the weapon, not really ideal. Oh, what is he doing, Tom? Why is he sticking around here? Why is he still peeking? He's getting no money. If he dies now, he's screwed completely. That I do not understand.
I'm more confused as why they pushed a showstopper. I don't think I've ever seen anyone do that before. That's mental. Like, he pops it and they're like, yeah, go on then, I'll have you.
You want some? I'll give it, yeah.
What?
Yeah, look, I can see it in a way, like sometimes you want to get in and kill the Rays straight away. That's something we see from teams, but not really the time. Like, you do it as soon as they pop it, you try to push in and kill them. You wait till it's, you know, fully engaged, it's ready to fire, you're gonna die. Like, maybe you kill her, but unless her reactions are very, very slow, you're dead. So, yeah. Weird decision, for sure.
It's sort of like if you're on a battlefield and you hear someone like going, ah, you don't normally go towards that guy. That's the guy where you go, I'm gonna go fight this guy who's like sort of in the corner and like looks scared. I'm not gonna fight the guy with the massive hammer who's like screaming. You know, the ones that have it on like a chain and just like, like they don't even speak. They can't speak in words. They just make sounds. Like, you don't go towards that guy.
Yeah, don't go towards Banks on a battlefild.
Yeah,
exactly.
Me, James Banks. Me, God Hammer.
It was nice.
Me go gym 8 times day.
It's a nice little cameo from James.
Disclaimer: James Banks might not be a caveman.
Might not. Sources
Might not.
Still debating.
No evidence. Yeah, exactly. The sources of this tweet might not be accurate. Welcome. An aggressive play already catches off one, and now they're sort of sectioned off. This is a problem. They're going to be pushing into what is a pincer. They should know there's another play here. Nice shot from Null. We've seen a few of them come out from him now. The aggressive Brimstone. We don't get too many of those, especially now that Angel has decided to switch over. They got themselves into an afterplan position, and look at the ultimates, Mitch. If they lose this round with an Orbital Strike and a Hunter's Fury, we can just call this GG.
Pretty much, yeah. Would have to be Jet coming through with a massive frag, like double frag. No, it's over. There's literally no way with a Hunter's Fury. You cannot physically lose this round. You cannot physically lose this round. Please do not lose this round.
One player remaining.
Oh my god,
Oh
are they
my
gonna lose
God.
this? No way.
He's got it.
No
He's
way.
got it.
What? Oh my god. Oh my god. Why would you waste your third Hunter's Fury that quickly when you've seen his move? Oh. Well, yeah, GG.
It's gonna be a close game, said Mid.
What the hell just happened? Tom, there was no way that he could win that. No way! Jesus.
Oh god. Yeah, that was bad.
Bad. You're being very nice today. That was one of the worst plays I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, especially because you have 2 ultimates that are used for afterplants. I don't really think there's much more. They can't find the cam. It's still there. It's still on the wall. So 𝗏𝗀𝗏 could just... He's finding so much information. Oh, okay, that was close, but actually... Omen's fine in the corner. Gonna have the cage being thrown out. In the meantime, the rest of the team... This seems to be the way that they like to split the sites, where it's basically just one player goes one way, and then the other 4 go the other way. And thus far, it really hasn't been working too well, especially if you don't check your angles. 𝗏𝗀𝗏 will find one, but surely for Ching, there shouldn't be much he can do here, especially with the smoke wall going down. I do wonder, it looks a little bit disjointed. There might be a gap in there somewhere, but they're actually all going to fade before they get anything down. They were too slow. They took way too long. And Ching and 𝗏𝒣𝒐𝒻 have combined to turn this into a 3v2. The spike's on the ground. They are going to find out where 𝗏𝒣𝒐𝒻 is, but they should have known that already if we're being brutally honest, because he just got a kill. Even still, it's left all onto 𝗔𝗍𝒐𝒍𝒍, and he only has 5 HP. 20-odd seconds to try and get this through. Needs to try and get the spike. He's going to try the rotation, but look at the defense. They're already on the way. They had this idea, and the dash is actually going to get them here first. This is perfect from Dubstep. And that's another round where you just have to look at the side of Legends and go, you know what, that was just unacceptable.
Yeah. Yep, it seems like just again and again, we're going to see this one coming through, and you have to be really devastated right now if you're sitting in the position of Legends. Every single position it feels like, or every single time it feels like, you know, they're getting themselves off to a good start, they just get smacked back out of these rounds. It's hard to keep spirits high in these moments. 6 rounds in a row needed for the Legends side, and that is looking very unlikely to come through at this point. We're looking for a faster A play at the very beginning of the round. Cypher going, and what, he's walking out on this site. 𝗏𝗏𝗏, what's happening here? Are you mental? Tom, why did he do that? I would argue he was selling a fake, but for the fact that his teammates were on mid and shift walking through to the B side, that was... He must be blind and deaf.
That was a desperation. That was a desperation play. He's not had a good game. I think that's evident. I think they know this is one that they need to win. And at the moment, they're just handing easy jewels. Like we saw some of the shots that were hit in the first half by Edmund. He had to actually put himself in a really good position to get those kills. Instead, in these cases, it's just holding angles. Like, there's not been anything that 𝗏𝒧𝒏 have had to do that's been too impressive. I said at the beginning, I don't think we're going to see Legends win a map. I also said at the beginning of this map, I didn't think it was going to be close. Now, some of the rounds have been close. The actual game itself hasn't been. And this is what I meant about, like, what we were going to see from their attacking side. The answer, Mitch, was absolutely nothing. They won themselves the pistol round, and that was it.
Yeah, that's less than ideal, Tom, I will say. I think from Legends, they did well towards the end of the first half, and I thought that that was going to be them keeping it in a nice close scoreline. But as you can see, that is not the case. 𝗏𝒏 have come through with very clean Valorant when it came down to their defensive side. They shut them out completely and won out some clutches that I do not think I could have believed less in. How they've managed to do that is beyond me. And so there is a chance that they could actually do some damage versus AHQ for sure.
Yeah, I think the way I'm looking at this more, though, is like the winner of that game is the top of the group. Like, if AHQ now go on to lose to Legends, I will wonder what happened to the team that we saw previously. Because as I said, the last time we saw them at the Cyber Games Arena, they took home, what, $13,000? They were the champions of the whole event. They beat Attack All Around. They were very, very good. They were a solid team. So if they now go on and lose to Legends, who I'll be honest, I'm not impressed with at all. Like, they made some errors that, as we said, were some of the worst errors we've ever seen. That they had some okay individual players, but I think we could say that for every single team in this tournament. Like, you've got teams like SMG who have some incredible players, but maybe not necessarily have the synergy. That's the same thing here. And when it came to their attacker side strategies, they were as basic as can be. Like, it was literally the 4-1, which is like that. If you open the strat book, that's like page 1. Like, it's going, oh, okay, we split. 4 of us go one way and just try and trade, and the other guy just tries to lurk, except for some reason in their mind, the lurker went first, which was really peculiar, because they're not cutting off rotations. It was almost just like a suicide pact of just like, I'm going to run in and instantly die. They're just going to go, okay, that was the fake. And then they're just going to go wherever the other players are. It was so scripted. And you could see all the rotations that were coming in were fantastic. I believe we're going to have some of the stats coming up. I think they're going to be relatively one-sided, maybe with a few surprises up there. But yeah, Edmund played well. We saw a few fraggers, but the problem is, again, I mentioned it, if your initiators at the bottom of the board, that's a problem. If your Cypher doesn't get anything done, that's also a problem. So yeah, it was fairly set in stone from that point onwards.
Yeah, I think realistically, with Dubstep up there in 21 kills, we saw Edmund deliver a lot. But it was when he swapped to that attacking side that he just couldn't quite keep up the pace. And we expected that. We really did. Nitty as well. You know, he's in a supportive role, stepping onto the attacking side. He's not going to be the first man in. So we needed someone who was going to be able to take those entries. And as you could see, down towards that B-hold, 𝗀𝗟𝗏, 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, they didn't really get anything done. Now, they were pushed multiple times. We questioned the setup in terms of a Cypher Sova B-hold in the first place. Then the fact that you're not delivering in terms of the fragging department either, I think it basically speaks to the fact that that is maybe not the best of setups to roll with. Yeah,
for sure. Well, we are going to look at our MVP, not only the entry fragger, also the star operator player, and also the guy with the highest average combat score. So well played from Dubstep. Definitely wasn't like the flashiest of operator players, especially with what we saw in the second half. A lot of it was just holding angles. We did see some more aggression when it came to his rifling, which I think is always a good sign. I don't think you can be a jet and play solely operator. Like, even some of the players, where the second they go onto the attack, normally seem to drop it. It's not as viable anymore. So I'm glad to see him performing well. I think overall it seemed like they had a pretty decent team. So I'm looking forward to seeing that Brem matchup. I also really enjoyed watching 𝗏𝗀𝗏. I think the information that he was able to find on the Cypher was actually really pivotal for how easy that was for them. So yeah, obviously you are going to see teams that, like it says, the 1-0, but that is because unfortunately the team at the bottom couldn't field a roster. So they're going to have the worst differential ever possible, which is 0-39. So you have to take all of the statistics with a little bit of a pinch of salt. But that does put Bren up to 2 wins. Now, what we basically mentioned is that if you get 2 wins, you're pretty much through. Legends would now have to beat AHQ, which I'm going to say is doubtful. But if they do manage to do it, that will make this group very interesting, because then, of course, we could have a 3-way tie. So plenty more to come, for sure. But I do think that we're probably going to have these 2 teams at the top. It just depends who's actually going to come out in first.
Exactly right. That is the question that we have yet to answer. Which of these teams walks out with the technical 3-0, if any? And I think AHQ, there are favorites coming into today, and the next game is going to be the one that decides whether or not they can actually top this group out, or if we're going to have a repeat of last time with them going second. Because in my mind, there is no way that Legends end up beating AHQ. And that's the only game they've got left. Unfortunately, you can't even get that kind of sympathy win versus Nong Van, although I suppose they technically did get it. A 13-0 on the board helps the round difference a little bit. But yeah, Tom, it doesn't look fantastic, really, does it? I think for poor old Legends. Maybe it's a map, though. Maybe they just didn't feel comfortable on bind. You know, you never know.
Yeah, the problem with that is, though, that even if that is, like I said, I looked at their stats and they hadn't actually had a win on it, so fair enough, but they don't have many maps at all. In fact, they have 8 on record. So obviously that's very, like, they'll have more maps played, but they're not currently listed on VLR. So that's going to be one thing. But the thing with AHQ is they actually have a pretty decent map win percentage on every single map. So they're not going to get that sort of freebie. Maybe an Ascent could be a little bit closer, but even then the losses they've had are against some of the top teams. So we'll have to wait and see. Of course, we do have a couple more matches to come. And I believe, Mitch, we are going to be heading off to a short break.
I believe so. It's time to say goodbye to the lovely folks watching along, but we're going to go to a break, and when we come back, it will be time to take a look at that Bren versus AHQ, the big matchup, the one that decides the top of the group, at least decides if Bren are going to get there, and that'll be coming up right after this.
Player remaining. 30 seconds. Spike planted. Spike planted. Player remaining. Player remaining. Player remaining. Defenders win.
Let's build a dog out of sticks and twine. I can call you master, you can call me mine. Wrap me in plastic and make me shine. We can make a dollhouse, follow your design. You can call me mine.
Welcome back, folks. We are ready to roll with the next game of the day. We're going to be jumping into 𝗠 versus AHQ, and this is potentially the decider for the top of the group. So a very exciting game coming up. Of course, I am Mitch, and with me is 𝗠Biz to bring you through the action of Group A and B. And I'm excited, Tom. I really am, because, okay, Legends, they let me down. They really did. I was expecting a lot more from them. I was expecting a close game.
I wasn't.
All right, but I don't think I see a way in which this game isn't close. 𝗠 did well there. AHQ, we know are solid. I'm expecting a tighter game than what we just saw, let's say.
Yeah, I'd hope so at least. I think realistically, I'm still going to favor AHQ just from past results and past matches that they've had. Like, they've been facing off against the top teams within the region and been putting up good results, like beating the likes of 𝗔𝗢𝗖, even beating T1 Korea, who we've heard a lot about Korea and how they're like the up and coming. They're the region that could be to beat NA, beat EU. We don't know yet. Like, this is the first sort of FPS game that I think they've probably taken under their wing and given it a go. And you look back to the likes of Overwatch, and some of the Korean players are absolutely insane. So realistically, that's a pretty decent result. Even if T1 Korea aren't the top of Korean teams right now, that's still a big result here and there. Losses, they played against like absolute Jupiter. So in terms of like top matches, that's where things get interesting. Now, they have actually played against 𝗠 before, and well, Mitch, there's not something that I say too often, but it was a draw. So it was a best of 2, which is something I've never really been a fan of. But yeah, it was a 13-9 victory for AHQ when it came to 𝗠, and a 13-7 victory when it came to Haven. So that might give us a small inkling depending on the map. That was in September, so they've had some time to sort of work on things. But yeah, that pretty much agrees with what you said. It should be a relatively close game.
Well, there you go. A relatively close game. Tom agrees. He's been cursing them in the Legends game, at least. Didn't allow it to be close, Tom.
To be fair, like the last 4 maps now that we've casted have been 13-6, 13-7, 13-7, 13-7. So I don't think that my predictions of them being stomps is really that crazy when it's happened so many times.
Ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous, Tom. So we move on to this game. You can see the schedule there. Obviously, we've had some unfortunate mishaps with the Nongvan lineup, but we will be rolling on with the rest of the teams. And we've already had a 13-6, scoreline in favor of 𝗠 Esports. Now on to AHQ versus 𝗠. And that'll be the last game for 𝗠 of the day, as they then go and take a little bit of a break while AHQ challenge Legends. That will be an interesting game, and one that I expect to have us done in time for tea. So this is the one that everyone's here to see. This is the exciting one, determining who tops the group more than likely, certainly determining if 𝗠 will be making it through to the playoff stage. If they lose to AHQ, and then AHQ lose to Legends, it will be a very confusing tiebreaker, and it will not be fun. So, Tom, are you excited for this game, and who are you picking as your favorites?
I'm still going to go with AHQ, I think, just because of what we've seen in the past, but I think it depends on the map. As said, like, we've literally seen these two teams play like not that long ago, and it was a relatively close affair, like both teams taking a map. So realistically, like, I think that's going to be possible again. I'm looking forward to seeing more of 𝗓𝗏𝗏. Like, he looked pretty decent on the last map, and I think that's the thing, really. Like, we've got some good players on either side. It should be relatively close, and hopefully we get a good game. I remember watching Milk previously, and he was fantastic. I think he played the Rays for the majority of the last tournament. I don't know if that will have changed too much since, because although there have been changes to Rays in terms of the players that like to play Rays, I don't think we've seen too many fall off of that. In fact, we've actually started to see more players actually pick up Rays, so it's possible that maybe the operator player has opted to try and switch things over. But yeah, obviously both of these two teams are gunning to be at least within the playoffs, and more importantly, to try and win the whole event. I think for either of them, I don't think 𝗠 would have entered into the Southeast Asian scene if they didn't believe that this roster was going to be able to win tournaments, especially with that respective region, because we know in other games like Counter-Strike, for example, they're looking to try and win versus even the Chinese, the Koreans, whatever it may be. So I expect big things from this roster. They looked very good in the last map. They've got close versus AHQ, but it's going to be Ascent, and we didn't see either of these two teams play this versus each other last time. Both teams do have a record on this map, but as said previously, Ascent is not the greatest map for AHQ. Currently 5-4, 56%, which considering that is their worst by, well, actually not by that much. And then on the other side of things, it's actually also the worst map of Bren. So if anything, that's a bit unfortunate. Although Bren have only ever played one map on record of Split, so I suppose, and they won it, so that record's a little bit biased. But they're 2-4 on this map, so yeah. If anything, it should still be close. I'm going to edge it slightly to AHQ, but I'm looking forward to this one.
Well, I mean, I am too. I think AHQ have to be the favorites, no matter what. Ascent, as you said, maybe not the best of maps for both of these teams, but at least they're on equal footing. Now, it's time to get into the game, and time to more specifically get into the vetoes, or agent selection, which you're seeing coming up on your screens as we speak. Now, Omen seem to take preference when it comes down to Ascent. You can see that is being followed through on. Jets both in play. And you do have a selection over towards the AHQ side of a Breach. Meanwhile, we're swapping out for a Reyna on the attackers. Interesting.
Yeah, I think we see that quite often, though, when it comes down to this map. Like, a lot of players will move away from Raze and end up on a Reyna. I think it's a map where especially the ability to flash yourself into specific angles and it being quite open, so the dismiss can be fairly valuable. I think also Raze in general on this map, like, there's a few plays that we see quite regularly, like if you have the paint shells that go into the short A side of mid, or short B side, sorry, of mid from short A, but realistically I don't think there's too many avenues where that agent is too successful. So unfortunately that means we're going to see a slight move. Also, Milk actually now interestingly playing on a Jet, so maybe taking more of the operator role away. I'm pretty sure last time that wasn't the case, but that might just be me remembering incorrectly. It was quite a while ago that we did that tournament. So yeah, I think this is going to be a good one. I don't think there's anything, again, too crazy about either of these comps, but I like that both teams have gone for different strategies. So you've got the Breach in there looking to try and set up a lot of players, and on the other side, I would say it's a little bit more brawly.
Scrappy, brawly. These are words that we'll look at, or look back at perhaps, and wonder, are they true? You never know. You could see just pure tactics start to finish. That right there, not necessarily what I'd expect. You know, you get a Reyna running straight up through mid. It's not not necessarily the best of starts. When you lose that fight, you end up in this spot now where you got to just converge on a site, and 4 players moving in towards A. They've already droned it out, seen the close corners are clear, so they're conscious of someone being that little bit further back. I like this approach. You've got a Paranoia ready to be deployed. Oh, both Paranoias going out, though, canceling each other out, essentially, over on the site itself.
30 seconds.
You have actually got Io able to pick up dubstep and fade back, leaving it into a man advantage for AHQ, and it gets extended even further. The worst part about that is that's the spike drop, and now they have to go and get it. As 𝗏𝗀𝐻𝐻 tries, he falls, leaving Ching to do it all, and unfortunately, he cannot get it done. 1-0, as we start out with AHQ taking the pistol.
Yeah, good start for Milk, of course. A bit of a quieter start for some of the other players. I kind of agree that obviously 𝗏𝗏𝒧𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏𝒏 looking at that Reyna is, especially in pistol rounds, you want to be quite aggressive. If you buy a Ghost, for example,
here.
because you can get the armor for free if you manage to actually get yourself an opening pick. So I assume that the plan for them is basically just allow him to be almost overly aggressive and see if they can get anything done. Real focus on mid control. Of course, a lot of teams do give this up for free, and I like the attempt. I guess it was just more of a distraction play for the rest of the roster to actually get into position. Now, Rainy Actually only has himself a pistol here. It's more on the 𝗠𝘀 to do the majority of the damage, and he will do just that. 3 quick kills, 1 man standing, and wow. 𝗔𝗢𝗖's on the wrong side of the map.
Revealing area.
Yeah, 𝗔𝗢𝗖 seems to be playing a very individual style, shall we say. That pistol round, walking up middle. No support, no intention to take that map control by his team. It's him going out to try and find the kills. And then the same thing here, right? He's lurking over towards the A site. His teammates push out, they die, and he's left to try and find something late. What I'm saying is I hope he's not baiting.
If anybody would be able to tell, it would be you, Mitch. Either way.
That is true.
2-0. Good start for AHQ. A little bit of damage taken in the last round, and you're going to see them probably play this as more of a bonus round. In fact, the weapons even that they're buying up are, well, what we would call less than ideal. We have seen some pretty ridiculous plays coming out of the 𝗏𝗀𝗖 so far. It's definitely been more common in Southeast Asia than it has anywhere else. Like, I don't think I've seen anywhere near as many 𝗏𝗀𝗖 plays. But even still, we'll see if they can get anything done with this round. Of course, as I said, if this round is won by the team with the weaker purchase, especially in a case like this where they don't even have rifles, they've just got like SMGs and shotguns and stuff. If this round is won by HQ, that's where you start to worry for Bren.
Yeah, we mentioned it before, we mentioned it again, and I think that honestly I can see it happening with how things have gone so far. Looking towards how this round is set up. I do like the fact that we've got Reyna going for the short control with their team here just tucked in, waiting for someone to peek out. They're playing this very slow, very cautiously. They know that the weapons they're up against could be that little bit, or will be that little bit of a lower caliber versus what they have. That's why they're so content to take those fights on towards the bottom of middle, because they know that player probably doesn't have the best of weapons. And in fact, they were hearing the Spectre sing out from afar, and that's exactly what you want to challenge when you have the Vandal. Ching in a little bit of danger here, but 𝗔𝗢𝗖 deals with 𝗠𝘀 and gets the full heal up to full armor afterwards. Now, oh, great shock dart as well to Rainy. That predictive one that had been thrown out, presuming that player would be exactly where he was. Then it pays off, but 𝗔𝗢𝗖's caught reloading. A little bit of an awkward position now, as if they push out and take the fight to Cypher, if he falls, that's 2 Vandals picked up. That could be absolutely massive, and 𝗏𝗀𝗀 goes down. This could be dangerous now.
Picks up the 𝗏𝗀𝗖 for a second, then probably not. Ching has at least been able to keep things going, and they are starting to pick apart now, these remaining members. I almost wonder if it might just be worth trying to hold them into the site, but with Milk finding 1 more kill, things are starting to become questionable. This is already 3 kills. Now, bear in mind, they had very little invested into this round. So, realistically, they've got a great chance to break back. But I guess for Bren, a win's a win. They've got themselves over the line. They're onto the board at least. So far, there hasn't been a crazy amount of money built up for the defensive side either. So the purchase they come up with is just going to be the straight-up rifles. Ultimate's yet to play too much of a part, and I would sort of wonder if maybe this was a round where it might be worth Milk just actually going for the Blade Storm rather than investing into the Operator. But I guess the way you have to look at it, Mitch, is like, if you're confident in your own purchase, you kind of stop worrying so much about the economy game and just focus on actually winning.
Revealing area.
I think in Valorant in general, the economy game, look, it has influence, definitely, but not to the same extent as what you would see in the likes. Exactly, it is. And the reason for that is, even if you look at the pistols, they're much more usable.
Deploying drone.
You know, a sheriff in your hands, 800 credits, you can get it done. The lack of gun kick, I think, also makes a massive difference. Like, in Counter-Strike, you cannot play without armor. Like, you do that, you're dead. You can buy a rifle no armor in this game. It just means you'll die quicker, but you have just as much a chance of winning an aim duel, with the exception of the fact that, you know, 1 or 2 bullets less is needed to kill you. If you're going with those headies with the Vandal, it's just fine. And certainly if you're going with it up and taking shots like that, 2 quick kills coming in for AHQ. Because the lead is tightened on a little bit, but it's still a 2v4, now a 1v4.
Do they not know? They don't know that he's got past. That's almost impressive.
30 seconds.
They definitely know now. I'm pretty sure from his point of view, it must have been they know I'm here. Because they should have done. Like, Ching shouldn't have been able to get there without anybody knowing at all. But somehow he did, and then the paranoia just gave it all away. The worry for me as well is we've only actually seen one player turn up just yet. Like, Ching is on 7 kills, everybody else 1 or less. 𝗏𝗀𝗏 was one of the players I really enjoyed watching in the last map, but as said, like Legends, I don't really expect too much from them here. Obviously, if Brendu managed to win this match, they are through to the next stage, and it comes down to whether or not, or who wins the other game, like who gets through instead. The problem is, it's not exactly going too well. Hero is going to start things off with an opener, and the small pieces of aggression that are starting to come out from AHQ, I think are only going to get worse. For me personally, I think this is the scariest map where teams get overconfident. Like, we've seen situations of someone like Artist, for example, running straight down mid just because he's so confident that he'll win the individual fights, and to be fair, a lot of the time he does. This crossfire, though, is filthy. I like this turret position because you're going to spot out Io at the back of the site. You're going to know he's here, but this turret is just going to block the bullets, and it makes this crossfire so much more deadly. That's basically, I think this is what the idea of the turret was from Riot. That's why it was initially changed, because it was meant to be used for crossfires, and people were just using it as like a warning system. So now it's almost for its intended purpose, which is slightly more scary, if anything.
Well, this round, it's over and dusted. Over and done with, rather. Done and dusted. I do like, one of the things we touched on a little bit was that opening duel, right? You had the Omen versus Omen fight. But somehow, Hero went into a fight versus Ching, where Ching walked into a one-way. The smoke had already bloomed, right? He knew exactly what was there, and he just stepped right out and allowed himself to be taken. He was like, Jesus, take the wheel. And it was a crash. There was nothing there. He just let the car take its own control and went into a ditch. He's gone. He's dead. And, you know,
it was
at
his
the moment,
time, though.
Exactly. Without being too rude to the other players, you know, Ching is doing the majority of the work. So when he goes down straight away to a fight like that, makes me nervous.
Take flight.
I think the next closest player to him has 1 kill. That's not ideal.
Yeah. Again, we do see a lot of teams pull out some pretty hefty defensive halves when it comes to this map, but at the same time, it's the manner of which AHQ are able to win these rounds. Like, they're not losing too many players. They never really look like they're breaking a sweat. This one started off a little bit better at least, but the trade kill is almost instant, and it's almost peculiar. Like, look at where that player on the attacking side actually died. They were all the way through mid, but it didn't seem like that was actually part of the plan. Instead, there's going to be a rotation back, and interestingly, they're holding almost outside of the site. They're trying to deny the presence into middle. Timing's going to be everything here. Milk, first kill, all too easy. Second kill as well. They're so distracted by his teammates that he's just making this all too easy. 𝗏𝗀𝗏 will at least find 1 on the wraparound, but realistically, that was, again, a very easy round. And hey, I was talking about this man and his raise and how he was able to style on them in the past. It seems like he's transitioned into this operator role even better, and another reason to remember him, I guess.
I will rip the light from them.
It's like the smoke in mid. I mean, you gotta realize when you're not in a good position to take fights like that. That would be one of the times. You should realize that. So the smoke in mid allows you to get through, right? You gain a little bit of control. When you're in a position though to just swing wide on a main with a pistol, it's odd. Some of these fights are are just not making sense to me, Tom, I'll be honest. You know you're against pistols, you swing out in the open, you stand there, you kind of just try to take the fight, be Hodor in this situation. It just seems unnecessary, really, doesn't it?
You look a bit like a short Hodor.
For you, Tom.
To be fair, in your Discord picture as well, it kind of looks like you're in front of like the same style of building.
It's true. All the zombies about to come up behind you.
Don't know what you're talking about. Wouldn't want to spoil the show. The ending's amazing. Either way, we are going to have lots of ultimates in play here. An Empress available for the attacking side. Hunter's Fury, and there it goes. There's the first one at least. It's doing a decent amount and actually kills off Dispenser. I mean, look at this. This is so aggressive from Rainy. Maybe too aggressive, some would say. But somehow he gets out of there. It's actually Io who falls instead towards CT. This is going to be a 4v3 situation. One of the more positives we've seen from Bren, and that's a bad sign. If this is one of your more positive rounds, the timing, though, works out. I think we're starting to see some of the players from AHQ get a little bit too cocky, walking into angles with knives out, rushing through smoke, trying to get kills. They're trying to pad their stats as much as possible, and instead there's now been a split back towards this A site. Now, there is still some utility there, but unfortunately, I believe we've already lost the Killjoy, so it won't be used.
I think, you know, when I look at AHQ, again, the save is probably what would come to mind, but with 6-1 on the board, you're like, probably just go for it anyways, right? And Rainy's found the opening. Now you definitely go for it. You rush on forward, see if you can find some kills real quick. Ultimate going to be committed to this. This is a massive play. They know exactly where one of the players is now, at least going to be tapping that down there, but pushed on the site itself. Rainy needs to provide some cover. That player's about to die. Rainy gets one, runs out of ammunition, and he can't get there in time. Good damage done. 𝗔𝗢 dies to the spike as well, actually. That's not terrible.
Yeah, and the thing is, for the defenders, they won the last 4 rounds so cleanly that their money's absolutely fine. They still have enough money for this round, probably enough for the next as well. So this is crunch time for Bren, because that round was way too close. Even in the 2v3 situation, it looked like it was going to swing their way. And if anything, I think if Rainy has enough bullets, I wouldn't have put it past him to get that kill. But hopefully that'll be enough to put the wind in the sails of Bren. Get them rolling a little bit. Milk, though, looking for the fight, and wow, he's been fantastic so far. Other than like a few silly mistakes, like walking into angles without his gun in hand, his actual individual play has been superb. And just look how comfortable we're seeing AHQ being with just taking map control. I mentioned this yesterday, that some teams seem to play like an almost old style of cash like Envy used to, where it would be the French side just aggressively taking map control that realistically you shouldn't be fighting for. They're more than happy to do this on the AHQ side, and that only comes from being, well, very, very confident.
Confidence is the name of the game, though, right? I mean, especially when you're a team like AHQ, you've got to feel like you're the best on the server. And I think that's something that best teams in Europe, best teams in any region are going to have in common across many, many titles. If you feel like you're going to lose, well, you're probably going to lose. I once had a friend who went on a 30-day diet. He was going to eat nothing. Fast,
30
I should
seconds
say.
left.
Nothing for 30 days. You know, the important thing there was to believe that he was going to do it. And he did. We told him it wouldn't work, but he believed. It lasted 5 days, but you know, that's more than I would have made it, Tom. That's a lot more than I would have made it. I can barely go 10 minutes.
10 seconds left.
Fantastic. Well, the 3v2 situation, once again, they've managed to get themselves onto an after plant, and it seems like maybe a few of those cockier players have started to bite them a little bit here. Fault line through, and a nice shot from Ching. He's still at least carrying on, but Rainy trying to do this all on his own, and both players are actually relatively low. He's got a real chance of getting this done. It's more working out where the second player is. And Ching again, a triple kill for him. I'm sure he's still at the top of the board overall for frags. He's been fantastic so far. Well, actually joint with Milk. But as mentioned, now comes another buy. So they still haven't been able to break the economy just yet. They're not really building up too much of their own because they're only having a couple of players surviving each time. So the pressure's not off yet for Brand. They still want to be getting towards like 4 or 5 rounds as a minimum on their attacking side, even if they do think they're going to have a solid defense.
Claw through them.
You don't want to allow AHQ to have too much.
Cover going
Exactly.
out.
Keep the leash nice and tight. Don't allow them to run away with the game completely. We've seen a few times that the attacking side on Ascent can actually build up a pretty decent scoreline. And whoops, there's the dash. That was so well handled. Flash, dashed, and Ching comes in to get the trade. Doesn't even need to be a trade, though, because Jet survived that on a trickle of HP. Must be very close to 1, because I can't even see the pixel. And with the man advantage now to play with, Brennan rocking it.
Still 5 HP for Dubstep. He's in a pretty aggressive spot as well. His teammate a little bit further forward, and they are going to go doubling back. They've had some real success on the A side. The timing, though, so aggressive from Hero. And he gets a double headshot. Doesn't take any damage as he swings out onto them as well. The spike's here and hasn't been able to escape.
30
Trapped in the
seconds left.
corner. It will now be the flea, but just look how much time. 25 seconds left. This has to almost be a fight for the remaining players. I realize where he is as well. Hero's just doing everything all on his own. 1 player remaining, and IO will close the round. 7-3. I really like the re-aggression, but I do not think that peeking into that angle, they should have got away with that much.
It does feel like you're gonna get away with murder with how that one goes down. I think for AHQ, it's even better than the eye test might tell you. You know, the previous round, obviously they're gonna be hyped up, they're gonna be ready to go, but then you just take a glance at Brand's economy and you see how weak it is. They've got pistols to come through into this round, and I like the idea of going straight towards A. Jet ultimate pop, they just negate that one-way smoke straight off the bat. They're gonna be slowed down a little bit. Alright, but they're not going to be deterred. Still going in for this opening. There goes the flash through. Reyna providing some sort of room for her teammates, but nothing capitalized on afterwards. She pushes out the Jet, still hiding up behind, which is the ranged fight. And there you go. Dubstep wins it, gets up into heaven, controls that little bit of ground, and now they're happy to just play on the site itself.
Oh, nice shots from Rainy, though. And there's still another player underneath. The thing is, that one player got detained, but will they actually expect him to be underneath? They are still going to check. I like that. I thought they might leave that place open, but it's Rainy with the retake. That is super impressive from him. So, again, these are sort of fights that we're seeing them take, which, I'll be honest with you, Mitch, they shouldn't be winning. Like, they shouldn't be able to just, like, him individually, just facing into 2 players waiting for him, and he just gets both headshots. And then the player underneath, who I actually think that was quite a smart play from Dubstep. It might look silly, like being detained, but normally if you're being detained, you expect that player to have been trying to flee the site. So you might not think to check underneath, but obviously on the side of AHQ, they did do that and have put themselves in a fantastic position. Looks like there's a lot of depth to this squad as well, like Milk, IO, Rainy, all performing to a very high standard. But you have to remember Hero just a couple of rounds ago, getting some crazy headshots. It looks like they have found some real talent.
I can't disagree with that at all. For AHQ, could be first time they top the group within the tournaments we've been covering. Could be breaking the curse. They've spotted all the close corners are clear, actually, over in the Brand side, but they've no idea this is, again, going to be a double stack up towards heaven. Milk allows himself to be spotted, goes for a rotate after some noise being made. They think that that drone was possibly a fake and that mid control is going to be aggressively attacked, but Brand were only sending their players over towards short and will now look to push this side. They've got all the ults to play with. They have to pop them now. Surely they do. There we go. Everything going to be popped. Everything thrown at this round. Diving into the site. The spike's still far behind, though. This could be a bit of an oversight. The fact that Jesse's actually the 1-1, never mind. Both the Heaven players get wrecked from a headshot angle. And with that, the plant goes down. The 2-man advantage. They've even spotted, I think, both of the AHQ members.
Yeah, again, we're sat in a position where realistically this should be an easy finish for Bren, but the fact is there haven't been too many of those. They're going to throw out the Rolling Thunder, but it hasn't actually cleared the close angle. They're going to jump in to do that instead, but they face off against Jing, who has been probably the best player, well, easily on his team, but maybe even in the whole server so far. 8-4, at least getting 4 rounds on the attacking side. I do think this is still a possibility for Bren going into the defensive side. Like, as said, we've seen a lot of fairly hefty defensive starts. The pistol's going to be important, though. If you lose that in the follow-up round, I don't feel like it's going to be too difficult for AHQ to get the remaining couple of rounds.
I think no matter what, if you win the pistol, sure, the game is probably in the bag. If you oh, that's an angle. If you lose the pistol, you're probably still going through, right?
Revealing area.
It's when it comes to those buy rounds
Deploying drone.
that so far AHQ been solemnly said that you see a lot of rounds for the attacking side. Well, here's the opening. Milk sacrificing himself, throwing himself on the sword so that his teammates can have that advantage to pull on through and trade out, getting the site, getting the spike plans, a man advantage in play.
Spike planted.
The AHQ side, well, they said the game is pretty much over if they take this pistol, and it's not looking like they'll lose it.
Yeah, we've not seen the best after plant positions held by a lot of these teams, but this one would be pretty rough. I do think there's obviously a lot more possibility when it comes to pistol rounds, just because of the almost randomness of a lot of the duels, but more importantly, the lack of utility you see in a lot of these situations. The problem is the amount of time it's taking. The defenders haven't even got through the barrier yet. They're still trying to make their way into the site. The time has ticked too far gone. I don't really know what the plan was in that retake. That looks super disjointed, and I don't know if maybe from another angle the attackers were just doing a very good job of actually holding them off, but realistically, they took way too long.
Here. Here. Here.
I don't see a way for Bren to take this one. I think that pretty much settles the group where it is. That final game of AHQ Legends, I genuinely think will be a very, very quick one. Put it that way. You see just domination on this round, as you would very much expect. And for Bren, considering you know, they have one more chance. I like those shock darts. You have one more chance to really get this done, to stay in the game. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a... He's not managed to sneak around that, has he?
No.
Oh,
no,
he's destroying it, okay. I was wondering.
And he's dead.
He's gone.
I like how I just turns around and goes, "What are you doing?" Breaking my turret. Oh, they do have to get away from this. A chance maybe for an extra kill. Never mind. That is a nice little tap with the classic, and it is going to be a 10-4 scoreline. Now, they didn't actually invest much into this round at all, so we could see a couple of rifles brought up alongside if they really wanted to. But the fact is, AHQ can very easily play this one as a bonus round. Come back in the next with some extra weaponry. Again, we'd talk about this one if Bren were to lose this. Yeah, it's already GG, but also it would be an atrocious round to lose just based off what their opponents actually have. Is Khan not even going to buy any armor? I was about to say that might be a little bit of an oversight, like a bit of an extension. It's not really necessary. But here we go. It's going to be the take of long. Ching already going to get tagged down the ground. looking to be fought for. I'm not sure that's the best place to take a stand. You know that they're going to have some weaker weaponry, and that is madness. You should have heard the footsteps. These are slip-ups you can't afford. Luckily for them, Dubstep has just gone huge. A multi-frag spray down. 𝗠should be dead here. I don't know how he gets out of this position. And eventually they do close it. The start, though, that was some serious risks coming out of Bren that just were not necessary.
Oh, this is a nice spot.
Tom, it's do or die time. Here's where it all happens. It all comes down to. Now, if you're Bren, you've got weapons, but you're up against weapons.
This goes here.
It ain't ideal. It ain't perfect. You would hope that this is where AHQ take a bonus round. You maybe get on the board, build up some opportunities. But it's going to be a tough one. 𝗏𝗏𝗏 in trouble, in danger. Fades out just in time as the smoke dissipates. They don't know there's a second player here, though, playing close on bottom mid. Jet could have an opportunity to completely eradicate this mid control that AHQ are seeking. She backs off a little bit. Might just have seen the foot of Milk, but has absolutely no idea about the breach that's tucked in on Pizza. Milk gets dropped. As Jet pushes forward, the timing is perfect. Eliminating Rainy and leaving the advantage in favor of Bren, but for how long?
Turrets destroyed.
Yeah, that's the problem. They're going to have an afterplant with quite a lot of time ticking before we actually see the proper rotation from Bren. They will be able to get into spot eventually, but look at how aggressive they're being. Hero just needs one kill. If he gets one here, they're right back in this, but he doesn't. It's 𝗓𝗓 to actually bring things back in further into their favor. Kant needs to pull off some sort of miracle, and he's been pincered in. It's left all onto 𝗠. This round is looking like it's lost already. A spray down of 2, though, definitely makes things interesting, but he's going to get flanked. Didn't expect 𝗓𝗏𝗏 to come in from behind. And we are at least going to see a 6th round onto the board. Better stuff from Bren, at least in the early stages, but it does still worry you that it gets that close in the end.
I mean, it has to, for sure. The fact that we end up in that tight post round, it kind of tells you that eventually AHQ will take it across the line, right? Or at least they'll come damn close. So it's time to step it up. It's time to really get it done. And I think, you know, sitting down in the position of Bren, they'll feel threatened, but this should be confidence building time. Because it wasn't a bonus in the previous round, they don't have a lot of money right now. That means that they've got weak weapons, and you can see already those fights are going cleanly towards the Bren side. The 2-man advantage. The ultimate pop for Milk is a little bit disappointing for him that 2 of his teammates died so quickly. Because obviously now, you've popped that ult and the chances of winning the round have shot down. Especially because you want to try find kills with it to retrieve weapons for your teammates. Of which there are no very few.
Good.
Okay. Nice correction from 𝗠. We'll at least get him one. I've missed as well by Milk, so this round is basically over. And unless him and 𝗠 do something truly ridiculous.
One player remaining.
And it seems like 𝗓𝗏𝗏's just having a bit of a field day, getting aggressive. And it seems like every time Milk rotates to try and find a new angle, somebody dies, somebody pushes somewhere else. So realistically now, he's going to get pushed. Nice shot, considering that the Lear was in play. Still making things a little bit more costly. Rifle retrieved. It could be something to bring into the next round, especially considering he actually still has armor available to him. So the loss here would be very, very little. Just an extra few credits and a rifle for free. Not something to just throw away, but by the looks of it, he wants to try and put these knives to a little bit more use.
10 seconds left.
I mean, he's doing it as well. I would run away and try to save this weapon at this stage. But oh my god, he can't win it though. Time is all that stops him. Look at the damage done.
That's worth it.
Absolutely, that's worth it. So much in so little time. As Bren, 3 rounds behind, but their economy has taken a big hit. And again, an opportunity for AHQ to at least climb up to 12 if they win just this one here.
And the problem I see, though, is even still, like, sure, the economy damage is nice, but until they actually win a round, all of this is worthless. However, I'm looking at the ultimates currently available, and that lockdown is something that it just gives that edge over to this attacking side, at least for one of the rounds. Now, bear in mind, they only need to win 3 more. I do think that this is very possible. I said it at the end of the last half. If a pistol win comes up for the side of Bren, that they very easily could turn this around on the defensive side, just because of how defensive we see this map come up, and how defensive a lot of the maps seem to be at the moment for the region of Asia. I think we're seeing a lot more defensive comps, although it does happen across the world on this map in particular. Whoa! Okay. Nice reaction shot from Kant. I thought he was dead for sure. Instead, he just goes walking in, finds a double, opens up this A site all on his own, and well, I guess if you've got individuals like this, you can drag yourself through any attacking side. However, 𝗓𝗏𝗄𝐿, he pops the Empress. He knows how important this round is going to be, but a counter Killjoy ult, and they have nothing they can do about it. No Hunter's Fury to wipe it out from afar. They just have to wait.
And wait they shall.
Placing swarm grenade. Turrets destroyed.
Eventually, it's time to move on forward, and oh, this is dangerous. So Io and the Omen both peek off the back of that blind, but luckily nobody's nearsighted. Hearing players start to step towards the door, seeing one up above, they know where they are. The info is there to play with, still conscious of the player coming behind, but in fact, he's already moved around, and it's done! Io in with a triple. He's dead to the spike 100%, but that doesn't matter, because winning out the round puts them on the forefront. They also have the weapons saved from previously. Now, you don't have that for Bren. Nothing carried forward for the Bren side, as you have to shed a tear for them, really. They're going to force buy. They're going to go for it all the way. They don't want to fight for overtime. They want to play for the win. I respect it, Tom, but considering they didn't get it done with the full buy, I don't know how much I can get behind this.
It looks a lot messier the second time around.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like Bren made a pretty critical mistake with where they thought the last player was. But I guess they just killed someone from that exact angle. So if anything, it was fairly well played by the attack. As you mentioned, they've forced this round. They've got a Blade Storm in play. The peek over's nice from Dubstep, though. He takes a tag in the meantime, but that kill is more than worth it. Drops a rifle to the deck, and the economy of the attacking side is not going to be amazing either. 𝗓𝗏𝗄𝐿 going down there. It's Kant again. He's leading the way while holding onto the spike, and although normally I'd be very against that, with how clinical he's been with these entries, it definitely can work out. Timing's everything, though. Dubstep knows he's low, so he's patient to make sure he can get those kills. Brings things into a 3 versus 2, and it needs to be another clutch situation. A little bit of extra utility being expended, but it's Dubstep looking to do it all. Just one man standing on the other side, but it is the hero they might need. 2 more players to find, and he can't quite get 𝗓𝗀𝗄𝐿. It's another round straight back. The force buy is successful for Bren, and this map keeps going.
I have to say, you know, you're sitting down in a round like that, it takes balls to go for that full buy. It takes balls to rush into the site, and yet they're able to get it done. I think, again, we have to commend the Bren side. They're keeping it close. They're showing that they're a capable team, but there's a long road left to go. And it sees them still with weaponry disadvantages. I think that's one of the more interesting things in this round. The fact that you actually have a Spectre still in play for Bren, while AHQ only have the Bulldog, which is matched over on Bren's side alongside the rifles. The other difference is in ultimates, that AHQ are leading the charge. They've got the Rolling Thunder as well as Hunter's Fury to work off of, and they can make a big impact when it comes down to making some sort of a push towards the sites. The drone moving forward. It's going to clear out Market and Pizza. They've got that map control for themselves. They'll presume there's a player towards bottom mid. In fact, there's not. You can see that's why they're re-smoking it. Breaking the door, stealing the information away as they look to push to A, but those players on Bren haven't been forced away. They've actually stayed in position as Dubstep finds one. Now the Omen should catch them off guard as he comes out through the smoking garden, but they were ready as Hero gets dropped. This is now much more winnable, and in fact they even save the Rolling Thunder with that kill from Milk, so they have it for the post plant to actually deny a defuse. This is massive for AHQ, and could just be the map 1, or at least guaranteed overtime in the bag.
Chances are this is not going to be an easy retake. Spencer's definitely had his moments, and we know that Reyna is probably the perfect agent for these clutch situations. He's going to need his teammates to find some information, and more importantly, they need to get a move on. They need to move quickly. Io just playing perfectly alongside his turret. The dismiss will actually help Dispenser escape, but he escapes straight into the arms of Rainy. And this has been the thing. Like, there's been a few players stepping up to the side of Brent. There hasn't really been a player that's been missing. And we've got Io and Milk just running away with the charge. You've had Rainy with some high-impact moments. Hero as well doing very well. And unfortunately, Jessie and 𝗏𝗀𝐻𝐿 have gone a little bit quieter from what we saw in the last match. Not necessarily their fault individually, but it definitely could have made a difference. Look at the buys on both sides, though. Even with that victory, you've got a couple of Spectres in for AHQ, and on the other side of things, you have a Judge alongside a Stinger. So definitely not ideal going into what could be the final round of the map.
It's not ideal at all, is it, Tom? I think you're being a little bit rude to the Brown boys there. You said going into the final round. It's only the potential final round, Tom. Come on, don't do him like that.
Off your feet!
I'll do
That's
what I
not
want.
good. You're badass. That's not a good start for them, though. They've just been racked on A long, looking for control over the site. Not gonna lie, Tom, I can't see a thing. Can you?
No, mine's frozen.
Okay. Well, we'll let you enjoy it. I hear the spike, so the spike is at least planted, and AHQ are looking for those post-plant positions to win out. That's all I can say.
I think mine's slightly back. 𝗏𝗀𝐻𝐿 looking to try and get in on the retake. Both players left completely blind, but he turns and takes the head clean off of Milk. The jump in as Jessie manages to find one more. It's left all onto Hero once again. A 1 versus 3 gets the first and second. There's only one more man, and 𝗏𝗀𝐻𝐿's low on HP. He's gonna be able to get the kill, however. Does he have enough time? I don't think he does. I think the spike's going off. It's going to be ridiculously close, but AHQ will take themselves the victory. A nice hold in the end from Hero, and AHQ are going to get themselves their first win on the board, excluding the defaults. Of course, this does now mean that Legends' fate is in their own hands. If they win this match, we go to tiebreakers. If they lose this match, AHQ top the group, and of course, Bren go in through in second.
This is the thing for AHQ. This match secures them top of the group if they win, and it secures them more games if they lose. It secures everybody more games. Legends have that one shot to stay alive, and I would not want to have to face off against AHQ for my chance to stay in the tournament, but look, better than being knocked out already, I suppose.
Yeah.
We'll see how things go in just a little bit. But I think it's safe to say I'm in the camp of AHQ.
Yeah, I'd be a bit worried for you if you weren't, I'll be honest. Like, going into this group, we thought they were the best in the group. We knew that Bren could give them a run for their money, and although it was relatively close, it was still a 13-8 scoreline, and I think just on their defensive side alone, they've showed that they are very, very strong. I think Milk, again, like now picking up a Jet, has been very, very impressive. And Io as well. We've seen a couple of very decent Killjoy players. In fact, I think the Killjoys have definitely been outranking the Cyphers, in my eyes at least, from what we've seen so far. Like, we had Float as well yesterday, who was very convincing, considering that a lot of their games didn't go particularly well. He was able to put up some numbers. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing more Killjoy going forward in some of these tournaments. The thing is, for Legends, I think they're going to have to hit their absolute stride if they're going to win this next one. But I believe we are going to go into the post-game stats, have a look at them for ourselves, because I've highlighted a couple of players. I believe we should see, IO, Milk, and even Hero towards the end going to bring at the top of the board. And that's the thing. If you ever somehow have the 3 highest rated players in the game and lose, then you'd have to just kick the other 2, because whatever they were doing must have been just hindering you, because it's almost impossible to lose a game like that.
Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, the reality is, even if you just look at the frags that they have, it's so far ahead. It's so heavily favored over towards the AHQ side that you can't really lose that game. I think, again, though, you have to be realistic in your expectations. Bren didn't come into this as a team that we thought would beat AHQ. We said they're the favorites to top the group. They're topping the group, at least if they maintain on this track. So it's nothing negative said against Bren. There were a couple of rounds, a couple of decisions that didn't seem to quite add up. I think, in particular, I wasn't a massive fan of 𝗓𝗏𝒿spencer playing that Reyna. I think that there were too many individual attempts for him to open a map control that he just didn't win. And it can work against someone like Legends. It could work against some of the lower teams, but AHQ, they're a team that will punish you. And on an individual level, you have to be in a position where you can more consistently play off each other. Although I do think that he made that read moving into the latter stage of the map and realized, you know what, this isn't working playing solo. I'll work with my team, especially on the attacking side, and just too little too late, really. Now you look at this, the MVP for this one, it's IO playing it on a Killjoy. Again, another Killjoy that's topping up as our MVP, but not in terms of first bloods. That honor goes over to Milk, and I don't think that's too much of a surprise.
No, not in the slightest. Like, as said, his aggressive operator play on the defensive side was very impressive. Like, again, I mentioned it before when we were sort of theorizing about like Jett and how valuable Jett can be. He showed just the value of that Blade Storm and how it may not necessarily... Like, that's the thing. It may not necessarily be the best ultimate for the team, but he will be able to individually win them rounds. And I think especially versus the teams in his group, he's going to be able to outclass anybody. And we saw that in some of the earlier rounds. They definitely got a little bit cocky after they were sort of winning. Like, I think it was 6-2. We saw some maybe over-aggressive faces and some risks that I'm sure if they were playing some better opposition, like all-out attack or attack all around, managed to make up another one, they probably wouldn't be taking those same risks. But yeah, in these sort of scenarios, that's absolutely fine. They know that they're confident in their game. They know that they can win this map. They're going to know their opponents better than we do. And I think going into a match versus Legends, I genuinely think the only way the AHQ lose is if they do get really overconfident and somehow can't back it up. Like, some of the players start to kick off on the Legends side and manage to do some damage. Like, we did see some decent play from Edmund, but I truly think that he would have to go Kenny S like God mode if he's going to be able to win them that game.
I just ask, how do you spell out, Tom? All out attack. That's not an A. I hope you know that.
It sounds better.
All out attack.
It sounds like a good name. So that's probably why it rolled off the tongue a little bit better. Yeah. But we've got only one word. We've got all attack all around. Dear Lord. See, all around attack even sounds better.
All right. Okay. Well, you know what? I'll send this on to their org and tell them, you know, Tom disapproves, so you need to change. But we're looking at now the final game of the group and what will decide if AHQ go out on top or if we're going to see Legends actually still have some fight in them and keep things competitive within this group, putting us down to some tiebreakers in a little bit. I'm really excited for this game because I think AHQ will dominate, and I'm excited to see if Legends have got something up their sleeve when it comes down to a different map. Maybe their weakness was bind, and perhaps we'll see something very different from them, depending on what map we get. I doubt it, because as individuals, they just seem to be switched off in some of these games, especially decision-making in the end. But we'll see how it goes. Tom, I think it's time to go to a break, take a breather, and come back and take a look in depth at this AHQ versus Legends map. That will be coming up in just a little bit. For now, though, we're going to go to a break as Tom has disappeared. Who knows where he's gone? We'll see you guys in a little bit.
Player remaining.
Delete.
One player remaining. One player remaining. Clutch. One player remaining. Clutch. Attacker.
Let's build a dog out of sticks and twine. I can call you master, you can call me mine. Wrap me in plastic and make me shine. We can make a dollhouse, follow your design. You can call me mine.
Welcome back, folks. We're ready to go, ready to roll with the final game of the day. Potentially the final game, I should say, because there is, of course, the potential for tiebreakers. AHQ taking on Legends, as this will be what should be a very one-sided game. We saw Legends struggle versus Bren and end up losing out that game very, very convincingly. And now we just saw Bren lose to AHQ. Therefore, transitive property, AHQ beat Legends. But that's not always how it works, Tom, is it?
Yeah, but it should be here. I don't even want to use the sort of like 1 + 1 = 2 like maths that you're trying to do. AHQ are just a better team, like just in general, like with historical results, with all the teams they've been able to beat in the past. Like even Bren have just proven that, like, if you just watch the game, that they didn't look like a particularly good team. Their attacking side looked weak. So realistically, I think that if AHQ lose this one, it's based off their own cockiness. Like, either that or Legends are going to have to just pull something out of the bag that we haven't really seen from them before. Because even in the last tournament we saw, I think the only team they managed to beat was 𝗡𝗋𝒋. It wasn't particularly impressive or clean, and they lost every other game. Didn't make it out of groups. AHQ and Bren, on the other hand, are two teams that, even if there was 4 teams in this group, we would still be looking at them to make it out of the group. So Legends are going to have to pull the biggest upset we've seen so far, and that includes only one word getting kicked out of the tournament yesterday. So I'd be very, very surprised. I don't even think there's really like the excuse of like, oh, but what if it ends on this map? Because we've basically seen AHQ. They got 70 win % on Bind, 58 on Haven, 67 on Split, and well, it's just increased. I think it's like a 60% win rate when it comes down to Ascent as well. So although they have a few weaker maps, those are against top teams. Those are losses against rosters that you don't expect any of the other squads to be able to beat, like losing a map to Myth, for example, or losing a series to the likes of Absolute Jupiter or Attack All Round. They even beat Attack All Round previously in the finals here. So realistically, I don't see how they lose this.
I think I'd be inclined to agree with you there, Tom. It does seem very unlikely that they end up losing. So, talking about the game, let's get into looking a little bit more at the games on hand. We've obviously already had a 13-6 game in favor of Bren, as we talked about a little bit earlier on, and we've just come off watching the 13-8 victory that AHQ took over Bren. Now, the two teams that face Bren must face each other, with AHQ fighting to be the top of the group and get the best seed coming into the playoff stage, while Legends are fighting to stay alive. This is going to be a tough game for the two of these, or for Legends at least. But as we said, AHQ are favorites coming into today. They are the team that should top the group, even with 4 teams. And you're seeing the lineup here. We've already seen these players play it out. And so far, I think, the names over on the AHQ side, they stand out a lot more. Io, Rainy, Milk, these guys were dominating. Meanwhile, over on the Legends side, Edmund was insane, but with the exception of him, it was like a flash in the pan from Shinity or Null, but the consistency just wasn't there, and certainly 𝗀𝗟𝗏 and Shadox left a lot to be desired.
Yeah, for sure. Like, maybe if they have a turnaround game, it could be a little bit more interesting, make the match at least a little bit more close. I've got a question for you, though, Mitch. So, like, I've been looking at a lot of the logos of these teams. I think a lot of them are pretty cool. I'm a bit disappointed that Nongwen didn't manage to get into this tournament because of how awesome their logo ended up being. What is AHQ's logo? I've been staring at it for the last few minutes, and I'm trying to work. It's like one of those things where it's like asking you how many legs the elephant has, and you kind of look at it, and it's impossible to work out because of the tricks your mind will play on you. The more I look at this logo, the more confused I get.
I presume you're talking about a certain picture of an elephant that's an illusion, right?
Yeah. Not just any elephant.
I've never looked at an elephant and went, shit, how many legs does that thing have? Like, is it 10? It's 4.
They've got at least 7, right?
At least 7. Every time I've counted, it's been different.
Are you including the trunk?
Well, it depends.
Is that an arm
AHQ,
or a leg or a nose?
I suppose I have 3 then. AHQ, they're in a position where I feel like their logo is a mixture of a unicorn,
yeah,
some sort of a bird, A snake? I don't know. There might be something
Isn't
else
there
in
like
there.
a unit? There's a unicorn that has wings, right?
Hold on. Unicorn, bird.
Isn't
Game's
it
ready
like,
to go, but we're more
isn't it like
interested in
Pegasus
what.
or something. Yeah, Pegasus.
Well, yeah, but it's definitely some form of snake as well, right? Or it's really weirdly drawn. I don't know. Maybe it's a thing that we just don't know about. Either way, it's Split that's going to be coming up. As we said, we're looking at the agent selection, and it's already been selected. Only one team going for a raise, which is kind of surprising considering the map that's in it. Io sticking on the Killjoy, which I guess we expect, really. 𝗪𝗏𝗂 in on the Sage, looking for some reses to keep things rolling. Now, 𝗪𝗀𝗧 is the player that concerns me here. He had a really bad game. He got 6 kills, 2 in the first half on the defense, and now coming into what? Oh, he's playing A. Okay, a little bit of a mix-up. So I'm thinking B is a choke point. You have to take duels. On A, he can play a little bit more mind games and try to positionally take the edge, as well as having support from Null. So I actually like the setup that they're going for. The only thing is, Edmund has got a lot of pressure on his shoulders and holding down that B site, but from what we've seen of him so far, he's capable of delivering.
I'll be honest with you. I think in these sort of matches, or when I think of a good Cypher player on this map, they don't play one site. Like, the best Cyphers in the world play all over the map. Like, they will consistently change where they put all of their trap wires. They'll consistently, like, move them, maybe put them in ropes some round as a bit of a catch-off, and then have these switch-ups all the time. Like, that's what I want to be seeing. If you're a static Cypher, I think it's too easy to read. Nice start from 𝗪𝗏𝗂, though. He's going to get on top of the wall, start things off with a pick, and Milk about to come under pressure. Now, I mentioned going into this day that I remember Milk playing very well when it came to the raise, and in this situation, he's back on it after being on the Jet in the last map. So they're actually going to be bringing in both, allow him to play potentially a little bit more freely. Now, there was some initial damage done to the defense, but they have been able to, of course, use the healing orbs available to them. Much more effective as well if you use them on a teammate rather than yourself. A nice patch, I think, from Riot to stop those greedy, selfish Sage players who just like to heal themselves in those sort of situations, Mitch. And, yeah, in a 4v5 situation, 40 seconds left. There's an awful lot for the attacking side still to do here.
I was going to say I felt personally attacked by that statement. AHQ moving in towards the B site, and they're going to get the opening, but 𝗪𝗏𝗂𝗧 very quickly trading back. The right-click classic, good for some damage, but not all of it. Flash through to upper, but 2 players on site, cleaning this round up. Rainy's got it all to do with 20 seconds to get down to the site. A flank coming in through B main as well, which might not be expected. No time really to get back into this, and doesn't expect 𝗪𝗀𝗧𝗏 to be there already. 1-0 as this round does go to Legends. They get off to the start that they needed.
Yeah, for sure. Especially on the defensive side. Like I mentioned on other maps that we've seen so far, the defense has definitely been the stronger of the two. But when it comes down to Split, that's not just like a South Asia thing. That is something that we see pretty much across the board. Like, sure, maybe you can throw in a slightly more attacking comp to try and pull through those rounds, but realistically, we're still looking at the defense to potentially get 7 or 8 rounds as a minimum. So we'll see how Legends are going to be able to do. Getting the pistol has definitely helped them out, but I don't think it's going to get any easier, excluding potentially this round. And that's something else to mention. Like where we see across North America, for example, the 4 spies feel a lot more common. I feel like in Southeast Asia, I've seen 0. Like it's always been whoever wins the pistol gets the second round for free. There has not really been any 4 spies.
It's very much a thing of confidence, but I think in this game, not 4 spying is the right call. I'm almost 100% down with it. If you're the team though that thinks, you know what, we're gonna absolutely demolish these guys, then you go for it. And I think that's where AHQ are coming from. Now, when you're playing on the attacking side, it's almost more difficult. It really depends on the approach. It sections you into playing as a team. There we go. 1 to open, and not quite able to take 𝗪𝗏𝗏𝗏. A second kill coming through for the man himself as he drops on down, fades to the site, but Edmund's here. coming over to try and provide a little bit of cover from the side, and that's a free kill with the dash out of there to stay alive.
A few low players, definitely a chance for some cost to be created. We know that the likelihood is there is going to be investment into the next round, but 𝗠𝘀𝘁 doing a good job to keep the 2-0 in. Now, I don't think they invested that much into the round. There was the Bucky for sure, but it seems like that was just at the sacrifice of a little bit of extra Kevlar going into this next round. So it's not really too much of an issue. This is the interesting prospect, though. So you've got one rifle already purchased, a second coming up, an operator as well for Edmund. So this is not really a bonus round. The only one is 𝗠𝘀𝘁, and I'll be honest with you, at this point, I would rather just see him buy. Like, if the rest of the team are going all in with their purchase, you might as well go together.
Clone kill.
Yeah, I could get behind that logic for sure. Gotta buy as a team right there. Oh no, 𝗠𝘀𝘁. Inside his cage, just gets absolutely wrecked. That's the site lost. They're smoked out. Spike to be planted in the open as well. So very, very difficult to deal with. They have to completely dig out these attackers. Ooh, I think that they still have a raise nade as well. There's a lot of utility anyways because they took this site so quickly. And Edmund is suffering from some of it. Nanoswarm being popped, dealing damage to him. Milk, good for one down below. The nade indeed is still in play. Thrown, I would say, a little bit too early. And things get a little bit awkward now in the 1v1. He's known to be up close and swings into the operator as Edmund takes the frag and the defuse. A third round for Legends. Tom, it's looking a little bit difficult for AHQ.
Really, this is going to be something just random and off topic, but I decided, so obviously we've got someone in the server called Hero rather than 𝗠𝘀𝘁𝗍𝐺, however you say it. So I googled his name. It goes to a Steam profile that says, "Hello, I am a pro player for 𝗠𝘍 Valorant team," which is very interesting. Doesn't seem to be the case, because 𝗠𝘍 do have a Valorant team and he's not on it, but there you go. Something a little bit extra. I don't know if he played for them previously. It doesn't even look like he did, so maybe that's some hot leaks coming through from Steam profiles, but either way, as you mentioned, a very good start to this game, and no, already going to be picking off another one. Legends looking a lot better, and of course we've already mentioned that if this one manages to go their way, they would make a fairly interesting position when it comes to tie breaks, as all three teams would be on 2 wins, 2 losses. Already though, IO doing an extra bit of damage, but it seems like they've done quite well to clean things up, to rectify the situation and leave just 2 players remaining when it comes to the offense. And obviously this is a round where we're not seeing too much invested for AHQ either.
No, keeping the money down low, and I think that's exactly what they should be doing in this instance. They've gone for a very aggressive start to the game, right? They're buying up quite a lot, trying to get involved in every round, and it's not working for them. Sure, the rounds have been very, very close, but it is time eventually to take that eco and just allow Legends to walk away with the 4-0. There's a nice little flank by Hero, though. He's able to take one and then runs out of ammo. It's heartbreaking, but sometimes it be like that. With 4-0 on the board, this is where AHQ come in with the full buy and try to really steal the game away. Rolling Thunder Showstopper. That's what AHQ have to work with. You have to wonder. At the moment, so they're very spread out. They've left the Spike outside of B, but 3 players outside A. This tells me we're going to see a very fast push. Now, Breach isn't lined up for any sort of a fault line into heaven, which is what you would normally see, so perhaps just a flash to bring them straight through as they rush down this side and make a lot of noise early on.
I'm curious what they plan to do next, though, because mid control has now gone the way of Legends. They're going to have the deep wall in, although that's going to be broken. A lot of map control currently being taken, however. Milk has managed to push all the way into the upper portions of that A site. Now, there is going to be some information being found, however, with the trap wire being broken, Rainey's been able to get a kill. Now, there is still the operator on the other side, and I think Milk is aware of this possibility. But But just look at the rotation of the spike. It's coming all the way back around. However, so is the full force of this defense. There's now 3 players ready and waiting. They've held back Milk for now, but this has also given some time for the remaining players to rotate in, and they're going to have this spike position for almost free.
It looks like they will. Yeah, they get in there. They get it done. There's the showstopper, and it does some good damage, but doesn't actually quite land the kill.
30 seconds left.
Good for 1 before being traded out, and IO does the same. Shine Nitty falls, and with that, they need to clutch back some frags. Legends get a good start to it with Edmonds up, but there's still a lot more to do. AHQ burn up their Rolling Thunder, and with that, the round should be over and done with, but they haven't planted the spike just yet. He couldn't get his up out in time. And so 4-1 we go. AHQ finally picking up their first round.
Yeah, that was nuts. The shot that he hits was like a pixel headshot. As clean as it gets. The problem here, though, is the last few rounds have not been clean. So to get that operator back into play is going to cost them quite a bit. You can see that already there's going to be a couple of Spectres in play now for the side of Legends, and on the other side of things, 𝗏 has now been able to get an operator of his own. Edmund, though, has been very good at winning these openings. It's going to be a battle of the two of them, and while I might have just jinxed him, as this time he's out of the round, as said, they risked a lot getting that operator back into play. It looks like 𝗏𝗀𝗎 might try and retrieve it here. He's going to go pushing. Timing's going to be everything. He might be able to sneak in behind them, but can't. It's like he has a spidey sense. It definitely started tingling.
Oh, 𝗏𝗏. I thought he had it. I thought that was going to be the shot. They're breaking into him again, and it's worked out.
What?
What? How have they gotten away with that? And a res, a man advantage now off an absolutely ludicrous play. 10 seconds to get in there. They're going to have to just completely delay. No ultimates to try and deal with it. Oh, man. Someone's playing on input lag here. 1 second. They've got to destroy it now. And they get it in time. But IO, he trades it out. A double kill. A wallbang headshot through Breach. And then finishing him off. That is nuts. And 4-2. Tom, I can't handle around like that again. That was crazy.
I honestly think if we gave that round to someone like Sliggy, they would take 20 minutes to break it down. Because there was so much stuff in that that firstly made absolutely no sense. Like, so you had the first player peek, dies to an AWP. The second player peeks, died to an AWP. The third player peeks and gets a kill, and then his teammate gets a kill as well, and they get a res. Like, what? You should be punished for that, but seemingly that's not the case. This round, not much invested. Not even going to buy a gun. Just goes straight in for the Blade Storm, and hey, he's running and gunning. I think he knows that they don't have much here, so this is a chance to pad those stats.
Spike planted.
That's exactly what he's doing. For the rest of the team, probably going to be a little bit more passive, and it's going to be the same retake they attempted last time. The problem is nowhere near as much weaponry. I think all this really ends up being is how many ult orbs can you actually gain, and he really wants those stats. I've never seen anybody this hungry for eco frags, except maybe Mitch.
Gotta get him somehow, you know, take him where you can get him. That's how I operate. Wow. Well, AHQ really sticking it to the man right now. This full buy from Legends, again, they're gonna look to fight it, but what I would say is that if we end up in this position where it's like 6-6 or 7-5 to Legends, I don't think they'll get it done on the attacking side. I think that the AHQ are going to be solid when it comes to the defense, and that fault line was perfect. Remember, it stops you from scoping in, so he gets de-scoped as he shoots, and that could have been a kill, but it was cancelled out.
We've seen some really sick, like, breach utility coming out so far. I've been impressed with that, especially from AHQ. Just been able to set up so many players, and I think that's another one where we talk about Cyphers in the past, but I think a lot of breach players are very much unsung heroes. We are going to have the Aftershock to deny any further presence coming in, but they are just going to pretty much follow it along. So much damage being done onto 𝗏𝗏. He goes running through and loses life because of it. I'm surprised that's the play, but then Milk goes straight back for more. Edmund needs to hit his shots, and he will at least be able to get one, but Milk has gone nuclear in this round. Seems like he's just running over them here. Oh, that alarm bot's not going to last long. A sacrifice that gives the information that there's still a player there, and Edmund looks like he's going to try and completely reposition. In the meantime, Ch0llY goes pushing in on his own. His teammate was nowhere to be seen, and well, it makes things a lot easier. Together, I feel like they had a chance, especially after he gets that peak, but he plays it as two separate 1v1s, and now we have a 4-4 scoreline, and it's sort of what you mentioned. Like, the start was really good. Some of these rounds have had moments, but it seems like in the crucial positions, that's where Legends make their real mistakes.
Exactly. Not what you want at all if you're finding yourself into these situations where you can win, but it slips out of your grasp. Really, it speaks to the inexperience of players a lot of the time that you can't perform under pressure or play together in these critical situations. You move into this round, and I would argue as well, Legends have gotten more done than they should have in some situations. Milk, a large push to the A site, but he's too late. Somehow his teammates get there before him, catching the angle and finding the kill. The nade keeps those players from pushing through the smoke, and so Legends are again in this position where they're in a 5 versus 3. Retake on the site, losing HP and losing a player. It's very difficult to really get anything done at this point. Exit's probably the best way to play, but then again, you don't want to be left with just 1k. Oh, this could be huge. It's all down to timing here for Null. If he pushes, he's got a player with their back turned, gets around the corner, free kill, 2v2. It's now winnable, but they have to go, and they have to go fast. Shynitty coming around the corner, one for Null, but he doesn't get it all done. Hero, he is the hero of the round, but that came way too close to him.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, again, I'm starting to get flashbacks to what we saw in the last map, where although we're still seeing round wins come up from AHQ, I think if they're against, like, someone better, I guess you could say, like a tackle round, I got it right this time, then I think they get punished. Like, that was very, very risky. And again, the player initially walking into the site, the hero ended up killing off. If he spots him first, then that's an easy win. Edmund's now taken that duel every round. And it worked the first time, and since then he has either died or been tagged every other time. I was really impressed with him in the last match that they played, because he was like big, that hard carry, but the fact is, at this point, he needs to find some other levels. Like, I spoke about rotational players switching up their positions all the time. I mentioned the Cypher. Jett is another one. If you're a static Jett, unless you're winning the duel every time and your opponent's making the mistake, you can't just keep doing this. And, well, for Kant on the other side, he's just going, okay, easy kill. Attempt 2, easy kill. And they're just handing them to him.
But, you know, the reality is, Tom, I think that's not something surprising for Legends, because we've already seen it. That previous round that they won, where they peaked out on top of round, there's no way they should have won it. There's no way that they should have been given that much space and opportunity to get into it. And when that happens, it almost it encourages that bad behavior, right? You're being rewarded for something that you did wrong, and in the future, then you're gonna do it again, and then it's gonna get you in trouble. It's like, oh, hold on, this could be a nice little nasty double. Yes, it is for Null. Well handled, well played. He saves the weapon. The AWP in danger, though, stunned with the fault line, and he's gonna save it. He gets away. Oh, that's nasty. But you know what it's like? It's like when a little kid is running, right? And they're running near the fireplace or something. And you say, hey, bro, don't do that. You know, you're going to hurt yourself. And they keep doing it, and they don't get hurt. And that then teaches them for the future that they won't get hurt, right? That they can do it, no problem. And then eventually, they do it, they slip, and they die.
I don't think that's normally how the analogy ends. I'll be honest. I don't remember that bit of it. But, sure. Let's go with that. Edmund, this round, he has got away with it. He is that child who's not been punished, but eventually, well, the backhand comes through. with a 3v3 situation. They get the heals in, but, well, they didn't have much alongside it. Nice shot from 𝗏𝗏. He definitely had his moments in this game so far. No doubt that on an individual level, he's got what it takes. The problem is, it seems like the team might be letting him down a little bit here. Dark cover going to give him an extra bit of space to try and push through, and in fact, a tunnel's been created which will guide him perfectly onto the site. The problem, however, they're not fighting him. They're just going to wait for him to go for the diffuser. This is much smarter from AHQ. 𝗏𝗏 eventually baited into the peak, and actually he's managed to find the kill. Rainy will trade, and in terms of time, there wasn't any left. But even still,
Last round.
making
in
things
the
very
half.
costly indeed. Of course, for the attackers, 9,000 on the majority of players going into the last round of the half. They're not really going to worry too much.
Not sure if you noticed that there. We just had like last round before the switch
Right there.
and last round
Right
of the
there.
half at the same time. That was weird. Voice lines be tripping. But I think 7-4 defensive sided map. A team that I expect to thrive in the defensive side as well. I don't have a lot of faith in Legends. They got it done in the early game, but when it comes to these buy rounds, it has not gone their way. They need to win this. 100% they need it. 𝗏𝗀 with a very quick execution. That is almost suicide from Milk. There's one kill going to be picked up by 𝗏𝗀. IO grabs another. The B side's completely open. And Legends really tending towards desperation at this point, running through a smoke. Never the best of ideas, and in this instance, more so. The flank on its way as well. I don't think Edmund has a damn chance, because he hasn't got a clue. There's a player just waiting for that Sage wall to break. In fact, the TP up behind just to delay a little bit, and there we go. The wall breaks. Up comes the flank. Oh, okay. Dash down to sight, but I don't think it's... Well, definitely not going to work.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, Rainy, he waited for like 40 seconds, and eventually he gets there, sees the player, and IO takes the kill. Heartbreaking.
Snooze, you lose. These are the
There you
streets.
Where you're from, Tom?
Oh yeah, the harsh streets of... Actually, I'm not going to say where my family are from. That's not a good idea. All the Facebook viewers be going wild. But, yeah, the mean streets of Essex.
Be looking, look up Tom Bizzle on Facebook. You can add him. He needs friends.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Please do that. Anyway, 8-4, a very good attacking side in the end, especially considering after the first 4 rounds we were a little bit worried for AHQ, but it seemed like they found their momentum. There were definitely some plays made by the defensive side in the last half that I found very disappointing, especially in like 2v2s, even the 2v4 at the end. I was looking at that going, well, Charlie, why do you keep running in? Why do you keep going for like, I'm going to be the hero, I'm going to 1v4 everybody, and then dying and leaving someone else to try and do it? Like, there were moments where I just think someone needs to just like clip him around the ear and just go, stop, why are you pushing that alone? Play this as a team, play this together. Now, Milk, he's about to come under pressure, but again, his utility usage is always going to make things very awkward for players pushing. And it seems like they're almost just stalled here. They're being stunned by different utility, held back by different smokes, and I like this replay, but the paranoia is even better. Blinds them completely. Hero, however, is going to find a double back straight away, and look how low the remaining players are. It doesn't matter. He's headshotting them anyway. 9-4, pistol 1, GG.
Pretty much. It is pretty much GG at this point. So difficult to get back into these kind of games. I really don't see it happening, and I think you have to be brutally honest with yourself, even if you're playing at this point, that it looks done. I am curious, though, to see if they'll be able to pull something off. Out of nowhere, grab themselves away, back into the game. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe a miracle will happen, and Legends will allow the title roster onto their PC. Oh, the blast pack's through. Not quite deep enough. 1 HP left on the breach, or close enough to it. But he has survived for now. control over rope room as well, swinging into Legends' favor. They can split towards upper A, and you can see the AHQ players have to fall back to watch spawn. They can't allow for that map control to be left completely unchecked.
Cover going out.
I mean, they've opened up the space here, Tom. Legends have given themselves an opportunity to at least find a couple of these fights, but they're still at a disadvantage no matter what happens.
Already, we start to see the cleanup crew coming in, and they're about to run into all of the utility just set up by IO. This is a pretty audacious angle to start and try and fight with the frenzy, but I guess he's got the support. Bit of damage done at the end, but doesn't really matter. 10-4, double digits hit, and now we get to see if at least they can win themselves versus what will be a bonus round for AHQ.
And that is a bonus round if ever I've seen one, actually. Yeah, you're right. The chances of Legends to walk away with it are there, with Spectres, with Stingers, with a Frenzy. But if you lose this one, you might as well just leave the server. They look for mid control, but so too to AHQ, and they've gotten up close. One player tucked in the corner. That's where these weapons can do the most damage, when they're left unchecked, when they catch you off guard. 4 players in mid, aggressively taking the control. Legends have an Omen separated from the group over towards the B side of the map. And it's that Omen that's in a lot of danger. He will start to move and rotate towards spawn. Oh, no, he's going forward. Oh, he's going to mid, Tom. He's making me nervous. He's not going to push mid, is he? He's going to push mid. He's trying to lurk, but they're waiting patiently for him to move forward. That's
They
Omen
got bigger problems.
going down. They've
be
lost
honest.
2 players.
They're
Oh,
losing
jeez.
to a frenzy. 2 of them have just died to a frenzy. They had rifles. Oh my goodness. Even if they bring this round back, this is just painful. Shadow is doing an incredible job to at least try and
30
make that
seconds
possible,
left.
but that was a killjoy with a frenzy on the site that almost manages to solo win them the round. Now the other players actually have some weaponry. Khan with another one. The wall goes up, but they can get around this. There's definitely a gap. They peek into it. I feel like that should have been expected. Rez even comes through. He got so many kills, he could at least get the Rez, and Shadow's gonna ace the round. It shouldn't have been needed in a round like this, but thankfully, he is there to save them.
Wow. You know, we mentioned that Spectres, Stingers, a Frenzy. Comes into a 1v1, forces a revive as well. Comes into a 2v1, in fact. And again, 𝗀𝗀𝗎, I don't like to be that guy, but he's got 3 kills. He's done nothing in the past 2 games. I think this is an inevitable roster move. Either that or he's left his hands at home today. Although he's at home as well, so I suppose you could just get them.
You could just say maybe his hands are busy with other things.
I prefer my one.
You know, it's just hungry. Well, back to business. Rifles out in play, Milk styling, and I think they've realized they probably should have won the last round, so they're just going to go ahead and take this one instead. 11-5. Remember, the last round was also fairly costly for the attackers, so financially this is not going to be a good place either. There's no good decision here. Either you force, you will have a bad buy for 2 rounds in a row, or you save and you basically have to play for overtime, attempting to win 7 rounds in a row.
Here.
Those sound like great options. And we'll see if those options are followed through on in a successful manner, let's say. Because they have gone in for that force buy. And will it work? Probably not. But let's see. Hero in a little bit of danger, taken down by a classic. Okie dokie. doesn't get greedy either. Doesn't go looking for that weapon, and instead it's going to be picked up by one of the AHQ members.
Milk.
And they're going to look to push towards this site. The problem is, those weaker weapons with those pistols, getting the damage done at this range is going to be very difficult, and there's 2 players to deal with.
What is going on? They keep both look. There's 2 of you. One of you watched Heaven. The other one watched. Like, why do they both keep switching? It makes no sense. Somehow it's going to work out amazingly. That was amazing. That was almost like one of those videos, you know, when someone's like recording their pet without their pet knowing, and they like look at the pet and the pet looks away, and then when they turn away, the pet looks back at them again. That's what this is. Like, I look Heaven, then I switch, and you look Heaven, and then you. It just doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what you're talking about, Tom. That sounds like a perfect strategy. Gotta keep yourself awake and guessing. But no, it was definitely unusual. One round to go for AHQ, and I mean, Legends, they've tried their best. They really have. They haven't cleared the corner. That's a mistake straight away. They're being shredded by a Killjoy utility and headshots ringing through for AHQ. And what more can Legends do? IU just ruining. As he knows the other player has fallen back. Everything's coming.
So sick.
He had a Jettle, the Blade Storm, the Showstopper, and a bullet to the head. It was a pick your poison, and he didn't even get a choice. That is the end of the game and the end of today then, because that means AHQ have topped out their group, finding themselves the top spot, and as Bren had already beaten Legends, they take position number 2. It all resolves nice and neatly, Tom.
Yeah, it is, and yeah, it's one of those situations. Obviously, it's disappointing when one of the teams is gone from the group. It does make things a little bit more clear cut in terms of like, okay, it's basically just if one team wins 2, that's it done. So a little bit unfortunate for Legends. Like, maybe there was a chance that one of the other teams upset, they could have got a win here and there, but realistically versus the 2 teams they faced off against, they just didn't match up. They weren't of the same caliber, and it's a shame for them to be out of the tournament so soon, but realistically, I think they've got some serious work to do. Like, even in rounds where they had inherent advantages, they were throwing them away, and some of their players just had the same intent to do the exact same thing every single round. And I mentioned it at the beginning, like, the need to be dynamic on a map like Split. Like, it's one where the defense has a big advantage from the get-go anyway. So to sort of sit there and just be like, okay, we're just going to do the same thing every round. Eventually, a team like AHQ are going to cotton on, and it took them 4 rounds, and then they pretty much didn't lose one since then. Which, yeah, that's unacceptable. So definitely a long way to go for this roster. But for AHQ, they've looked very, very good. For Bren, they've definitely shown that they can compete, and I actually think that Bren could be one of the ones that go a little bit deeper into the playoffs, especially considering they can't come up against AHQ for the earlier stages of it. So that gives them a good chance, and I like their team as well.
Yeah, definitely. Bren are not a team that will be absolutely wrecked by some of these other teams, although it depends who they come up against. You know, Myth attack all round, or all around attack, as you like to call them, or all out attack. We've got many different names.
It's a good name.
But if Bren come up against TMT, that would be a really close game, I think. I'm excited to see a potential matchup. Obviously, we don't know how the playoffs are going to spin out, but we do know how this game we just watched spun out, and we're going to take a look at the scoreboard and see where the players finish. Now, I can guarantee one thing, and that's the Choli's bottom, because he got 3 kills, and that's not great. But the big numbers are fantastic, and again, it's IO doing a lot of this damage.
Yeah, I'll be honest, like, normally when we talk about Cyphers, we give them a break because of the role that they have to play within the team. I think his decision-making is awful, and if you're going to be a Cypher, that's not possible. Like, you can't be a Cypher that has bad decision-making, because most of the time you're going to be activating different cages and trying to delay as long as possible. But every single time, it seemed like he was out of the sight and just left for dead, and when he went for retakes, he never played with his team, and those are, in my eyes, are both unforgivable mistakes. Especially the not playing with your team part, like that. When there was a 2v2 with Edmund where he just runs it. It was a 3v2. He gets a kill and then just runs into the blender while his teammate's still rotating. Like it just wasn't intelligent play, and that's what you need with a Cypher. You don't need someone who's going to be gung-ho. You don't need someone who's going to be just fighting every single battle wherever they can. You need someone who's going to be smart, and I don't think he fits that role.
Yeah, I would be inclined to agree with you. We look at the MVP of Milk and the entry fragger of Kant. So, in fact, although Io did a lot of damage and got a lot of kills, it's always in the background, dealing the damage round on round. That's where Milk came through. I mean, we saw a couple of times those blast packs going into middle and dealing significant damage, but obviously then he had the patience to fall back and allow his teammates to take the kills and finish things off. So, you have to commend Milk on that one, for taking the MVP with 335 as an average combat score.
Well, yeah, I mentioned it at the top of the day that I was like, I remember Milk for his Raze play. He's shown that he's added more to that. Like, he played the Jet in the last map, switched things up and allowed Kant to play the Jet on this map. And I like that. I like the fact that it's not even just that they're switching agents, it's that they're having similar agents within the pool, but they're switching who plays them, which can be quite difficult to counter. So I think that this team is likely to go far. Obviously, it does depend who they match up against in the latter stages, but they're probably one of the teams I look to get towards the semifinals, final, maybe even take the whole thing. So yeah, they've got off to a solid start, much cleaner in the groups this time as well, which was a bit of a worry for them last time. And yeah, if you can get through the best of one stage, the best of one random map stage, I should say, and then get into the best of threes, that's, if anything, where they're going to be more comfortable. So yeah, definitely a team to beat, a team to watch. And yeah, I look forward to getting back to them because, well, that's us done until the playoffs, right? Because we've got two losers coming into, two other casters coming in to cover a couple of the days coming up over in a week or so.
Yeah, I'm not going to be quite as rude as you are, Tom, but yes, we have two other beautiful gentlemen who are going to be coming to cover us. One with hair, one without. We keep that as a
one
theme.
One clinging to hair.
Well, if you want to be generous. And so that will be...
Love you, Ryan.
When is that? That's in like 2 days. That'll be going down, I think, over on the Monday. Should 2 be...
days. It's
2
on
days.
The 30th, isn't it?
When's that? 10 days from now. Okay,
yeah.
So quite a while. In
2 days.
I knew it was Monday. It's just the next.
But you're
Monday,
you realize the reason you're not here is because you're busy, right?
Yeah, I know, and I'm not busy.
And you're not busy.
So
in 2
yeah,
days.
yeah. You know what? Tom, shut the hell up. Shut the hell up. 2 weeks. Monday, not this one. The next one. We'll be back. Well, we won't be back, but a guy with hair and a guy without hair will be back to bring you some wonderful coverage of groups C and D. And I think we have to give commendations to the teams that have made it through. That's AHQ, Bren, TMT Esports, and Overtime Esports. It's been great watching these guys play and seeing some of the Asian Valorant scene. Of course, the other groups have teams like Myth, SMG, Attack All Round. So those are going to be some big names with big responsibility on their shoulders to make it through the playoffs.
Yeah, I think those groups are definitely going to be exciting. I think although... Group D, I would say Attack All Round are the clear victors, but there's an opportunity for another team to obviously get their way through. On the other side of things, I think Alter Ego and Kingsman have a pretty big mountain to climb because we've got Myth Attitude, obviously the previous Thailand Attitude, and SMG, who both made it to playoffs last time. So I think those are the two we'd expect to get through, but we've already had an upset or two along the way, as we sort of mentioned. Like, this group was clean, but if anything, like, only one word not making it through the group in Group A was definitely a bit of a surprise. So maybe a few more surprises to come. Of course, we won't find out until the playoffs in December, but we can see what will actually happen over in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you stick around. If you're not already following the page, the channel, whatever you like, make sure you do that. And yeah, as said, we'll be back in 10 days.
Player remaining. "30 seconds. planted. Spike planted. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Defenders win.
Was that supposed to be a fight?
One enemy remaining.
Enemy down.
One enemy remaining. One player remaining. One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining.
Bomb grenade out. Stay down. The eyes are down.
One enemy. One enemy remaining.
Blocking sight.
Rest.
One enemy remaining.
Delete it.
One enemy remaining. One enemy remaining. Clutch. One enemy remaining. Clutch. Attackers win. Thirty seconds left.
Clone kill.
One enemy remaining.
Give me those back. Fire in the hole. Stay down.
Gone.
Get it.
Stealing sight.
Headshot.
One enemy remaining. One player remaining. One player remaining.
I have this fight. You fought well. Natural out.
One player remaining.
You should run. Get out of my way.
build a dog out of sticks and